right, so here we
There
go.
we go.
Today I'm mixing drums. We're going to focus on drums on
BTS.
3 different songs.
This is what they're looking at.
I think Jim is actually in the other room right now talking to the other guys. So we've got
in the other room.
Luke Campolieta and Ben Williams doing commentary today
Yo.
about the mixing. So while I'm mixing, they'll be explaining what I'm doing. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask questions about the mix. We'll be stopping in between songs and talking about stuff. Hey JT, you missed my my shaker thing the other night. Or the next day because of the crashes. I actually put shaker on the song. So you missed it. Sorry. It was your idea. Sounded good. So let me get over here. Boom. All righty. All right, guys, how y'all doing in there?
Ready.
Oh, yeah, we're ready, man. We're ready
Y'all
to
ready?
rock.
Okay, I'm going to start with the Hope Morgan thing. This is going to be kind of interesting. Hey, first time chat, Sykes. Thanks for being here. I'm going to start with this Hope Morgan thing. I've got some ideas about it. I haven't done a thing on this song yet, so I just got the files last night, and I literally have not done anything to this mix. The other ones are a little further ahead, so this is going to be brand new. I'm just going to dig in. I'm not sure what to do because he's got the snares off on the snare drum, but I'm just going to get started on this thing, and you guys just do what you do.
Sounds good.
No. All right.
I'm already excited about the color palette.
Yeah.
You really you got to be ballsy to have all these different colors.
Salmon is one, I think. I actually really like a snare drum with the snares turned off.
Yeah.
You don't hear it a ton.
And it's got the tambourine like supporting it.
Yeah. Acting as like a sparkly snare.
So interesting.
Just that sound. So he's checking through all the mics of the snare, right? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah. And as we heard, like they recorded the snare drum with the snares off. With if people don't know, like the snare drum has these metal chains that go underneath it that you can turn on and off. And when they're on, they sound like a snare drum, and when they're off, they kind of sound like a tom. Yeah, the toms and the overhead sound pretty good.
Yeah.
The crotch mic. We're gonna have to dig in a little bit on the crotch mic.
Yeah.
Not to be weird, but
That's where the song gets its aggressive nature. Would you know when we came up with the idea to use overheads as a way to record drums? Like, it's kind of genius, that way of doing it.
I know. I mean, because if you think about it, like when we listen to like drum kits,
Yeah. We don't listen to overhead.
No, we don't listen
Yeah.
to kick drum, snare drum. We listen to the kit.
Yeah, it's a 2-track.
The 2-track, yeah. And for a long time, you could only use a couple of mics to record a drum kit. And so drums ended up sounding like how you heard them in the room.
It's crazy. It probably gives you a lot more control as a mixer to have those options, but you can get that paralysis of choice
Absolutely.
where it's like, oh, I like the song already.
So that's what our
Kick drum actually sounds pretty nice.
So is Billy just going through each drum while he's listening to the track? Things are poking out for his ear, and he's
Right.
investigating. Is that like what he's doing right now?
100%. This is totally exploration right now.
Yeah.
Just seeing what you got and just checking, identifying what problems are going to be happening early on. Like on that kick drum, we knew that there needed to be some of the low mids taken out for it to clear up, because it could interfere with any of the other parts of the drum kit. Especially since this drum part is like kind of low.
Yeah.
And not low in the sense of it's dynamic, but like the snare drum doesn't have the snares on, so it's got like a low sound. Same thing with these toms,
I like the whatever this plugin is, Filter Bank
Man.
E606.
Dude, this is a classic. Like I think, ever since I've known Bailey, he's been using these filter banks. And it's just like, when you just find the tool that works for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's found with this plugin.
Well, because then you develop a relationship with it where you can make it work better than maybe anybody who doesn't work with the filter bank all the time.
Exactly.
I like the green color, too.
It's nice.
It's good green. It fits the vibe of this song.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to just listen to this song driving a Subaru Forester that's this color.
This color, right? Yeah.
I'm going to Asheville.
It does give that vibe. I'm glad that we're like, it's funny, like toms sometimes get overlooked. It's like always about like, oh yeah, the kick, the snare, the cymbals, and the toms kind of like get worked on last. And I think it's interesting that Billy jumps right to the toms because they're playing such a big part in the song.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Like the toms are gonna identify the forward momentum of the song because it's what's gonna push the narrative forward. Mm-hmm. So making sure that these sound good is going to be so important.
I like how so much of mixing is kind of like when you watch like a great chef like making a food and they're just like adding things and tasting it the whole time. It's like kind of the same thing. Like, oh, let me bump this frequency range. I don't like the way that tastes.
Back it off.
Too much salt in my ears.
100%. 100%.
Ooh, that sounds good. I just like whenever anything's boosted on the low.
I know. I mean, it's interesting. you wouldn't like realize sometimes how much of like that little mid range he's had to take out.
Yeah.
Like it's just sometimes surprising. Like that's a big cut, Like that's a 10 dB cut,
What's like the standard dB for a song? I know that they're different, but
in what regard? Like
just like if I pulled up, this is a Hope Morgan, right? If I pulled up Hope Morgan thinning, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Thinning. If I pulled it up on Spotify and like played it, what would be the dB? Depends on how much I pump it, but
right, depends on your loudness setting on Spotify. Man, I think the whole like how the loudness of the song is becoming less and less important because everything gets normalized anyway.
Yeah.
So even if this song was at like -10 lufs, whatever, and then you played it against a song that was like -7, at the end of the day, it gets sent out to the consumer at the same level. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest thing that I tell people is just try to make it sound as good as you can and get it loud, but you shouldn't sacrifice the quality of what you're shooting for just for loudness.
Oh yeah.
Because at the end of the day, and I do this too, when I hear a song I love, I turn that shit up.
Yeah.
I'm like, turn that shit up. Like
sometimes I turn it down because it's so good and I'm not
worthy.
I feel too bad about myself to engage.
I know. No, I know what you mean.
George Benson, you're cutting to the core of me. I don't deserve this.
And like it's so important. And I've said this multiple times before to like you gotta learn to EQ like with other things involved.
That snare drum with the snares off has it's like the same frequency as the boom on the acoustic guitar. I just noticed it's literally like right in the same area.
It really is.
Yeah, I kept thinking like it was the acoustic. It's partially the acoustic, so that's why I was going over there. But I'm going to be working on that for a minute.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's kind of crazy when you listen to a piece of music, you're hearing everything all together at once, but also all like by itself.
Right.
And it's like they all impact how each other sound so much. I guess as a mixer, it's probably really difficult to like keep in mind what the song sounds like versus the individual elements of the song. Right. So like, how do you do that?
It's so easy to get lost in the individual that you forget that you have to step back.
Yeah.
So
you have to force yourself to listen with a few different sets of ears.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks, Seven. I just realized I didn't put my hair in a ponytail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was running late, and then I look up. It's Goldilocks.
What happened?
A gray-haired Goldilocks. I'm like, oh damn, yeah. Well, I'm just gonna leave it that way. The hell with it.
Crazy call. I feel like the ponytail is good for the mix.
I know. I know. I think you're right.
You got that Waves ponytail bundle?
Extra vibe.
Extra.
And it's what's important to realize, like we talk about like you need to EQ things with other things involved because you can identify the problems that like Billy found. Like he was like, oh, that tom is ringing out at the same frequency that the acoustic is. But if you had never worked with them playing at the same time, it would just go over you. But when he had it up playing together, he was able to realize like, oh shit, they're ringing together, you know?
Yeah, it's always cool when you see somebody catch something that I know plenty of mix engineers who like wouldn't have found that.
Right.
At least not that quickly.
Yeah, to just acknowledge it quickly.
Oh, you can hear the vocals from the...
I love the...
Some of these days I'd love to hear people use vocals that you catch through other mics as the main vocal.
Right. That would be cool.
Yeah, Seven, keep feeding my ego, man. Classic rock star for sure. You can say that all day long.
Whenever I start with a drum kit, I always start with the overheads.
Why do you do that?
I feel like that's going to be like the foundation for what the drum sounds like. Because like the idea of the drum set, like the idea of the overheads is there's two goals. The goal number one is to get the sound of the kit, or you're just going for cymbals. Certain genres of music call for you to go for the kit, and other genres of music call for you just going for the cymbals. In this genre of music, you want to go for the kit. And if something is so important as being a representation of the whole kit is going to be the overheads, I want to really make sure I nail that.
Yeah.
Because you can fix a mangled drum kit. Not saying this is mangled, but you cannot fix a mangled overheads. Like if you mess up the overheads, it's kind of hard to repair, you know?
Overheads are cool.
They are cool.
I wonder why they're mostly used on drums and we don't do overheads for guitar amps or for
it used to be common
vocals
practice
or something to throw in it
to have like a room mic for a guitar or a room mic for, you know, this or that. But yeah, in vocals it's not as common.
You know, Luke, got to be honest with you. Oh, and by the way, yeah, the internet is fixed. I might have to do a whole stream just about the internet, that experience and what I learned. But I'm kind of struggling with this thing because, like, when I heard this earlier, it's like, oh, it'll be easy to mix. But now I'm listening to it. Like, every track I listen to has that one frequency of the snare drum, like, just blaring. And it's, like, right in the boomy section of the acoustic. And I'm like, well, maybe if I pull up the room mics or something, but it's like it's everywhere. Like, did you notice that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, there's definitely, like, we feel like there's a cloudiness going on. But the more that you, like, dig and investigate, the more we're feeling that you're on to something. Yeah,
I think I know what they're going for. I kind of, like, the rough mix, the rough mix kind of sounded like when I pulled it up. And I had this cool idea about doing cool reverbs and all that, but now I'm like, man, there's no high end on anything. There's, like, he never hits the hi-hat. There's a couple crash cymbals, and then I might try to get some high end out of the snare or something because I want to have reverb. I had this cool idea about these big reverbs. We'll see where it goes. But anyway, that's what I'm struggling with right now. Right. So we'll see where that goes. If you got any suggestions, chime in.
Yeah, man.
It's cool that you've got to listen to what's going on and then also have this vision for like what you might want to add kind of at the same time.
And that's the battle you have to fight because you want to do the exciting things and be like, oh, I want to do all these reverb things.
Yeah, of course.
But if you don't have the foundation right, then you can't do the fun, exciting things.
Yeah.
And I think people try to jump to do the exciting things before they set the foundation.
No, but you got to earn, in this game, you got to earn reverbs.
You have to. You have to earn your reverb.
You got to earn, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody gets it.
All right, Seven, if you hang out, because we're going to do 3 songs today, and there's a rowdy one later, and I'll do a headbanging thing. Of course, I think you're in England, you're overseas, so it's going to be an early stream, but I will do a what do you call it again? Headbanging. I haven't done it in a long time. I hope it doesn't hurt my neck.
Headbanging's old school.
And yes, Mill, we're the vocals on this particular song. Did you put up Hope Morgan's links? Put up the Hope Morgan link. This is a brand new song. I actually only got the files yesterday, and it's going to be released in a couple weeks. And they asked me to just leave the vocals out. So it's actually a thing I'm being paid for. So why me leave the vocals out as a surprise? She's got a great voice. I really like Hope's stuff. I did another song for her last year, and I played Lap Steel on it. Great video for that one. And nice to see you, producer KG, Prod KG. Thanks for chatting. And yeah, it's gonna. I think what I'm gonna do on the reverb here. It occurred to me hitting the floor tone with every kick. So there's my high end. So that's what I'm gonna mess with to trigger the reverb. Yeah, put.
And hey, Jim, the chat is blurry
Yes.
for us, so if there's any questions, feel free to relay those to
Yeah.
us.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, unfortunately, you guys got the worst monitor in the studio.
I know because I see the chat going by, but I can't really read it.
I just assume they have no eyesight.
I'm going blind.
It's a good thing I didn't drive here.
You know what? Like the toms. Do you feel like the toms are the underrated position in the drum kit?
It's tough. Sometimes I feel like if we only had hi-hats, the world would be exactly the same.
Yeah, you're right.
But are cymbals different than drums? I do
right.
love a tom.
Right. You're right.
I like when people put stuff on their tom too. Like you ever put a towel on it?
That's only for like serious drummers.
Yeah, that's the Ringo Starr. Got to put a towel on here.
And it depends on what kind of towel.
I like to use a Snuggie.
Nailing a tom is tough.
Yeah.
Can you put your chat? Can you access the chat on your phone?
Do I like need Twitch or something?
Yeah, I don't think I have.
I don't
Have it
have
on your
Twitch or
phone?
anything. Nah.
Okay. If they're wanting to like.
Yeah.
If you send me the link, I might be able to.
Okay. Let me see.
Nice, Luke, you're on it.
We will get to this chat.
What's tough about a tom is it feels like it is going to eat into other sounds because it's just like... woo.
It's woofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have pitch.
Yeah.
You gotta tune them. Like, there's nothing worse than like this huge tom roll being like out of tune with the song.
Oh my God, every session I've ever been a part of, I swear we spend more time tuning and getting drum sounds than recording the songs themselves.
I know.
It's tough. They sound cool though.
Yeah, I dig the overheads.
Yeah. Overheads are cool too because they give you a stereo field, which is like the mixer's like playground.
Exactly.
Essentially, like the sandbox
Exactly.
is like.
Exactly. And it's cool hearing it in this context where you just have like trap kit and bass,
Yeah.
you know. Oh, nice. Looks like they put a little Sam's amp on the bass.
Oh yeah, everybody's got to use that Sans amp.
Dude, such a classic.
It's great.
Classic.
So what's he doing soloing these different things and muting them?
I think so. Like, you know, he's listening to everything in its full context, and then hearing things, and then probably soloing just to see if isolating, if like, is
cool.
that the problem? Is that the problem? And I feel like we're probably gonna have to like lean on this acoustic guitar. You know, like that's gonna be, that's gotta have to be the thing that's gonna like push it along. You know?
But that's cool. It's an acoustic guitar. Like it's needy like that.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
It's what it's designed to do.
Oh, look at this plugin.
Yeah, this thing is cool.
Clean.
Man.
Oh, that's your thing. This is called the Manic Compressor.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling where you're just like, Crotch Mic. So this idea...
You know, it just occurred to me, Luke, there's this crotch mic in here, as you can see.
Oh, yeah,
Crotch
super
mic
zoom.
yeah.
right there.
Super zoom.
We're in there. We're in that crotch.
And I saw that last night when I got this. So if, in case anybody's wondering what is a crotch mic, I think I've heard of this before. And what it is they take a microphone and they put it down like right over the kick drum and down by the snare drum, and they point it at the crotch of the drummer, and then you compress it, and it's got, as you can hear it, it's got like...
It does actually sound really cool.
I think it sounds great.
Yeah, that might be the key. I was kind of thinking, oh, crotch mic.
Yeah.
It's like maybe there's a reason why he did it, because it's like actually that kind of is like getting some of the room sound and doing a lot of my work for me. So yeah, I didn't hear you, Luke.
No, I was just saying it has like an interesting momentum.
I think it
to
sounds
it.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like thinking maybe try blending, because every time he hits that snare drum on the snare mic, it's like this boom,
Right.
and it's like it's just going to get in the way of the of the acoustic. I can tell.
Look, what's the weirdest mic placement you've seen in a session?
I think.
Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit of a limiter. Now, looks like he had double lock on it, but hold on. I got the free version.
Nice.
Of double lock.
Sometimes people point like microphones at like the wall or like the glass.
Didn't Billy have one in a skull or something?
Yeah, the skull mic.
Skull mic.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of digging the double lock on it.
Devil lock. So audio level destroyer. What does that mean?
It is a distortion plugin, and it's got two types. It's got crush and crunch.
Got it. Love it.
You season to taste. One salt, one pepper. You know.
Sound like good frozen drink options at a gas station. The Devil Lock Crush.
Lock. Yeah. That like the machine hasn't been cleaned in like 3 months. You know.
That's how you get that flavor. It's like cast iron.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh god. Yeah.
Like old guitar strings.
Yeah. There's something special about, like, I consider the Crotch Mic kind of like a room mic.
Yeah.
And there's something special about treating rooms with distortion that it just does something to like, it just like, I don't know, it just glues it together, you know?
Well, and also probably gets some unexpected results because sound is just air.
Right.
And like if you distort air, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah. This plugin will distort, you hear that?
Yeah. That was big. What is loud relief?
Loud relief?
You see that over there? It's like attack, release, that's like your generic compressor settings. But
what it looks like is it looks like like it's a parallel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like a percent of like the mixed blend, you know?
Ooh.
That's kind of okay. Now it's like
this song's got a lot more energy to it. Makes me want to get in that Subaru even more.
I know, dude. It is like this could be like a Subaru. Yeah. I'll take that money. Yeah.
Freaking Out with Billy Hume, brought to you by
Subaru.
And Golden Retrievers. Also by Subaru.
Right. And so here we're working on like the actual rooms.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that you really got to be careful of is making sure that your overheads and rooms work together. You don't want them to be fighting. You want them to work together. And this is where we're kind of getting at right here, because what we're mostly hearing, or what he's mostly relying on, are these overheads and rooms.
Yeah.
You know?
And now we're looking at, let's see.
I kind of dig how it's a little dirty now, you know?
Oh, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
It gives it a lot more energy.
I agree.
Yeah, like just a couple of those changes he's made, the song went from sounding good to like sounding like vital.
Exactly.
And like that's, I think, what you're usually trying to go for when you're mixing. You're trying to take a performance and you're trying to make it feel more alive.
Right. I like vital.
Yeah.
It sounds vital now.
Ooh.
There's the cymbals.
Love a good roll into a cymbal at the end.
I know, man.
The crescendo.
Some things have just
cool.
they've just always been. You know, like.
Imagine the first guy to do that. It's like, yeah, I'm about to show up these people.
Yeah, they have no idea.
1200s Hungaria. What? Get this guy some clean water. He's earned it.
Right.
Ooh.
It's so interesting the decay that you get
Mm-hmm.
when you have like we heard that when you hear the kick by itself, it just comes and goes like a kick drum. But when all the other elements are in, you just get this sense of decay. That's to me is so interesting.
Just because everything's working together.
Exactly.
And that produces a sound that they don't get individually.
Right.
Oh, there we go. What we got? Those are cellos. What a great instrument.
I know, isn't it?
Right in there in that human voice.
It is, dude.
Register. I always thought a cello always sounded like somebody very smart and calm talking to you. And a tenor sax is just some guy yelling at you.
start adding
Yeah,
some verbs.
What does the bus mean?
So, I mean, a bus is anytime
Yeah.
you want to send something to another place.
You have to
bus
ride
it.
the bus.
You have it ride the bus.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I'm thinking, Luke, is
He's
like
back. He's back now.
He's back.
I want to put reverb on the drums. Like, well, what channel? Like normally I'll just put reverb on the snare track, and then it'll pick up enough of the other drums to do. I'm actually thinking about I just kind of need to put reverb on all the drums. So I actually think I'm going to send to the reverb from my. Can I send from my drum subs? No, but then it'll kind of come back. No, then I create a loop. Shit, how do I do this? Oh, I know what I need to do. I got it. Check this out.
Boom. Solve that.
Problem
I think I
solved.
got it figured out.
He didn't even need us.
Less
Well,
than
just like talking about it sometimes, it's like, I talk to myself. It just so happens that you got to hear it. Yeah, Mill 3, I don't know what he had on the drums and the toms. This came from, it might be White Star in Charlottesville, Virginia. And this actually, so the artist is Hope Morgan, but they're actually on a label that's owned by Colin and Caroline, and I wish we could put up a link for them. Maybe Crystal can find it. Colin and Caroline are some clients of mine. They do cool acoustic music. It's kind of like this. Hold on, somebody's texting me, probably telling me something that I'm totally doing wrong here. Answer chat question. Yeah. They signed Hope. Hope is actually a visual artist, like she paints, and you guys should go check out her link on Instagram. I went and looked at it today. There's like virtually nothing musical up there, but it's all artwork. However, Billy Strings follows her, so that must mean something. But Colin and Caroline, they're really big on Spotify. They have a playlist. They do a lot of cover songs. They'll like take some song out there, and then they do their own version, which sounds like this, but it'll like be a pop song. And then they signed her, and I did the first song for her last summer, I think, or sometime last year. But they record up in Virginia, so I don't really know what they're putting on the mics. It might be the White Star Studio, which was where they're at last time. This kind of sounds like that room, but I have no idea what they're miking the stuff with. These are actually the best sounding drums they've sent so far. A couple times they had like mono overheads. It's nice to have the stereo overheads and room mics, which is great. Kind of digging the Crotch Mic, actually.
Dude, we actually said the same thing.
Yeah.
There's something about the Crotch Mic that's working in there.
I was so disdainful earlier, and then I looked at it. Oh, Crotch Mic.
Yeah, you don't want to like it as much as we do.
Yeah, but I have to admit, I'm kind of liking that.
I know.
All right, let me figure out the reverb thing.
There we go.
It's cool that she's a visual artist. It makes you wonder if she thinks about music as a visual artist as well. Like what that.
I know. I'm not as. I can't even like imagine.
No,
I'm just not that talented.
I mean, I'll drink some wine. I'll paint some things, but.
Man, I love Altiverb.
Little plate. Okay.
Little plate.
Little plate.
Oh, interesting.
Someone said the drums have a lot of weight to them. It's interesting.
Yeah, and so like,
Interesting comment.
and what goes with this, with the weight of the drums, is having everything in phase.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you have a drum kit and you have all these microphones, there's so much phase information, and the idea is you want all these phases to build up to each other. And if you have certain mics that are out of phase with each other, they start taking away from each other. And I think that is what really helps add to the weight, especially when you have the overheads, the rooms, and the crotch mic all working together in phase. That's what's giving it like this huge, like you said earlier, it sounds vital.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, you want all the elements of a song, whether it's like the composition, the harmony, or the performance, or the mixing. You want it to like work together.
Exactly. It's the same concept.
Yeah, it's funny. In music we use this word harmony to describe like notes, but like in reality it's just things showing up for each other, you know?
Dude, so smart. It's like it's like there needs to be a sense of harmony in the mix.
Production too. Yeah,
in the production
exactly.
and the mix, as there is in like a chord or a chord progression. Okay, I think I got the chat.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did get the chat.
Let's chat it up with these
Hold
people.
on. Am I in the chat? Level up your experiment. Open in the app.
You're in the chat. ASL.
I'm trying to get. Hold on, I gotta download the app.
I love these pro cues.
I think I'm getting into the chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm downloading the app.
Is probably impossible to see that.
It's impossible to
Yeah.
read now. I'm digging what's going on with the reverb though. It's like giving me a little bit of anxiety trying to like log in, and I'm like hearing like this epic like drum thing happen.
Yeah, you took a limitless pill, and they're coming for you.
Dude, wow, what a freaking reference.
I feel like you have to be on limitless pills to be a mix engineer.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, nice. Okay, so open. So I gotta sign up. 1288.
Love that drum fill. Really well played. Whoever played that part.
That bass part that just went by
Yeah.
sounded really cool.
Yeah, I gotta say the economy of these musicians feels nice. They're playing parts. They're really trying to create a space for something.
Well, dude, it's hard to play with restraint
Yeah.
in a song like this, you know?
Yeah.
Hey guys, hold on. I got to deal with something technical here. Jim, plug into. Grab some headphones.
Love a good technical break here.
I know I'm still making a Twitch account.
I'm just sitting here drinking tea. What's the drink of choice for mix engineers? Because Billy's got some coffee, right?
Billy's got coffee.
And I know you're not a coffee guy, famously.
I know.
Not a coffee guy.
I know.
What would you say? What you know the other mix engineers? What do they drink?
Man, I just feel like coffee is like the go-to.
Yeah.
You know? God, maybe a Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Tea is really great. I love me some tea, man.
Yeah, when you think about, we were talking about earlier about mixing being like cooking something and throwing things in there.
Right.
Tea is like, you got to mix a song and you can only have 3. You can only use 3 plugins. That's like tea.
Yeah, you're right. And so the quality of those 3
Yeah.
are like...
Rose hips.
Yeah.
Hibiscus.
Okay, guys, I got my headphones on now. I can hear you,
Oh, nice.
so I can pontificate as necessary.
Great word there.
Hopefully, that won't be very much, but we'll see.
Is this not working yet, man?
How many sentences would it take to truly pontificate?
It's more than 3.
Man, it's like starting to sound like a song, man.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Compared to when we first started.
It's funny because I generally think everything sounds good because, I love music and I
Right.
love sounds. When you bring your listening ears to something, it's all good.
Right.
Because I thought it sounded pretty good at first, but now it sounds so much better.
I know, dude.
Like it's the difference is like noticeable.
Right.
But when I first heard it, I wasn't like, "Ooh, this needs a lot of work." Which
Right.
maybe that's because I'm not a mixing engineer.
Right.
I'm just a musician.
Don't tell anyone that. They're not supposed to know that.
I think I might have this chat thing figured
The
out.
chat.
I'm gonna try one more thing and then I'm just gonna bail on it.
So this one says electromechanical reverb, right? Over here on the
Right.
little plate.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, a plate is an electrical mechanical
Oh, cool.
thing.
Oh, so it's just a plate
It's
reverb.
an actual plate
Yeah,
reverb,
yeah.
right? Which, as we know, is like a big.
Oh, they're so cool,
Yeah,
man.
it's magnetism, you know.
I think I told you one time I played a concert in Bristol and they had, in the venue, it was really old, they had like an actual plate reverb and we used it. It sounded so weird, but it was very cool. It's huge.
They are big. That's the thing. They're huge. I don't know why this won't let me make a password. This is the password I use for everything.
Well,
And
don't,
it
don't
says
say
it says it's too common.
Just throwing a
Okay,
percentage sign.
it let me do it. Next. Done.
Colin and Caroline are following now, so that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
So sign up.
Ooh.
Colin and Caroline in the house.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's right, baby.
By the way, don't panic. Colin and Caroline, if you hear me doing something wacky, sometimes I go to extremes during these streams. I go to extremes during the streams.
Another example of your wackiness.
That's just another example of it.
Extremes.
But, more Crotch Mic. See, more Crotch Mic. There we go. And you know what, guys? I don't know if you're on earlier. When I saw that, I was like, Crotch Mic. And I looked it up like, oh, that's some hoodie tootie thing. And then I listened to it. I was like, I might use it. It's actually turned out to be really important.
Well, it's extending your
manliness.
It'll be the standard from now on.
capabilities. And I'm out.
If only Buddy Rich had a crotch mic, though.
Okay, dude, I think I'm in the chat now. All right, I think I'm in the chat. I think I leveled up.
You made a password. Share it with
I made
everyone.
a password. I think we're in there, dude. I'm in there. Okay. Now we can answer people's questions.
Here we go.
Man, there's something Tambo vital.
Oh, I think it's great.
Vital.
Especially, like, have you ever seen anybody play it, like, to, like, the fullest extent, where they're, like, can play a whole beat on it?
Oh,
they're, like,
dude.
scraping their thumb across.
Yeah, like, there's a difference between, like, you know, the guy who, the drummer playing the tambourine and then, like, a percussionist.
You know,
it's so different.
What's sad is because, like, sometimes they'll just throw somebody on the tambourine because they think it's simple.
Right.
But it's hard to
Dude,
keep
it's hard.
time, like, correctly.
And you
Oh,
can
man.
throw the band off.
Yeah.
Ooh, H-verb. You know what? Man.
Oh, he put that.
I sleep on H-verb, man.
Oh, it's really good.
I sleep on it. Because look at all these different things that you can do to, like,
Yeah.
to alter the reverb, you know?
Yeah, it sounds really good now. So you put that reverb on the tambourine.
I think so.
Yeah. Tambourine sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, the H-verb. Yeah, the
Yeah.
H-verb on it. And then one thing that people that you gotta realize is it's okay to add plugins after your effects. So like he added the H
Yeah.
reverb and then sent it to a tape saturation and then a little bit of EQ, and it's just like the effect doesn't have to be the last thing in the chain.
Yeah.
You know, you can always sweeten the effect. Sweeten a sweetener.
Yeah, I always wonder about that, like the order of. It's sort of like when I'm building like my pedal board or whatever.
Right.
It's like the order of the pedals really matters. So I always wonder how you guys do that because it's.
Hey, have you
so
guys
many...
ever used this EOS reverb?
EOS.
No, we have never used
No.
that.
Dude.
It looks cool, man. We're digging all the reverbs you're doing.
Yeah,
now.
it sounds great.
I mean, it's kind of out there, but hold on. I think I got... So EOS is something I started using in Ableton, and then they came up with a new version with a lot more controls on it, and I pretty much just use it for the super hall setting. It's like just a big freaking reverb, and I think the guy who made this used to work with Valhalla or help design their algorithms as well. I freaking love this thing.
Because the interface looks very similar.
Yeah,
Like how it looks like the
really
Valhalla.
cool.
Yeah.
Because I do like this H verb here.
Yeah, it sounded cool.
I like that, but I was going to try out the CEOs. I keep forgetting I can use it in Pro Tools now. And Mill 3, how's the tambourine sound so smooth? I'm not doing a damn thing to it. There's no EQ on it whatsoever. Like I said, I think. Hey, Colin and Caroline, did you guys do this at White Star? Is that where y'all did this? But they tend to use like ribbon mics. I think they might have a Neve console like that. The thing about this studio is like a lot of vintage mics, so microphones and gears and stuff like that. So, so they did it at White Star, and if you could look up a link and put it up there, that'd be great. But their stuff's like super old school sounding, so I bet you they're probably using a ribbon mic or something like that on the tambourine, which it's like for something like this, it'd be a better choice than using a condenser, a small diaphragm condenser where it's going to be really bright, which is the sort of thing I would normally do, not on a song like this. But yeah, I ain't doing anything to it. I should probably put a high pass filter on it. Hold on. Just to make sure there's no low end stuff on it. But man, it sounds good off the bat. No reason to EQ it if it already sounds dying good.
The hardest thing, though, sometimes is when you do get stuck with a tambo that's too harsh. And let's say you had a tambo that was too harsh. There's a couple ways to like address that. Multiband compression, obviously some EQ. Tape machines do a good job at kind of taming that. And then sometimes if you're going to add a reverb, sometimes that kind of takes a little bit of the edge off of it, you know? So if you find yourself with a harsh tambourine, you can adjust it, you know? This reverb sounds more song appropriate.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I don't know. There's an essence to it, not to sound like too like weird, but to me, this reverb has more of an essence.
It's always
to
weird
it.
when you're putting words to describe music or sound. Like, it's the reason it's music and sound and not words. But
right.
essence was good. I like that.
The reverb on the kick is working for me though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's the right of decay. It's not too long.
The little shaker came in. That sounded nice. I like that. There we go. Also love that we call that instrument a shaker, because like that's how you play it.
I know, right?
It'd be like if we called a piano like a button push. The button push. The hitty thing.
Right.
The foot hitty.
The shaker's important because the song doesn't have any that subdivision.
Oh yeah. And it really helps give it a nice pickup. Compositionally, It's a really cool move.
Yeah. And I like how it doesn't even come in until this second chorus.
How important is it for you when you're mixing to label the sections appropriately?
What's important about the labeling is making sure that everyone understands that what everything is called.
Yeah.
Because it's like
I see. So if we're talking about it, if I'm like a client and you're mixing a song for me, I can be like, go to the bridge, and it's right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's like you can call it
Verse
the
2B.
pre, you can call it the channel, the verse 2B, the A section, the B section, the chorus, the hook. And so, like, the biggest part about labeling is just making sure that we're all on the same page of what the label is.
I think that's why they created languages.
I think so.
For the same reason. Right. So we could talk about bridge sections.
Well,
Right,
there's the issue of time. There's the issue of deadlines.
Oh, of course.
Getting things done in a timely manner, which means organizational skills are necessary, and we're all working together. Unlike what we're doing now, which we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when you're mixing, you have to be so organized, but also so creative.
I know.
And usually those two parts of your personality are like not totally together.
You're right. No, you're right. They kind of go against each other.
Yeah. But some of us are better than other people.
Yeah. That's just reality. I'm happy with the reverb selections.
Yeah. So what's the next step? What do you think he's about to do? You know Billy, you know this song?
That's a good question. I think he needs to take a look at the bass.
Yeah.
We
Always.
haven't really checked a look at the bass, you know.
Always a good time listening to solo bass track. Boom, doom. Oh. I think these are really well played cello parts. So whoever recorded them, great job by you.
And it's because, man, playing instruments without frets is hard.
Yeah.
I ain't touching no freaking bass. It's the drum mixing stream. Screw the bass. The hell? What do you think we're doing here? Shit, boy.
We don't know.
Actually, hold on. I'm doing something here. I hadn't really looked at the bass.
There we go.
Is it important? Is bass important?
Absolutely
It
not.
might be for this song. It might be, man.
You think so? Jeez.
He's
I don't
playing
know.
some cool stuff.
I've never paid much attention to bass in songs, you know. It's just like one of those things like, I just put the... Actually, who was saying to me... I was talking to somebody and they're like, yeah... Oh, yeah, it was a client called me up and he said, yeah, listen to all these other people, they talk about mixing on S10s. They don't really pay attention to the bass. I'm like, who the hell are you listening to? I don't pay attention to the bass. Yeah, I do the mix and then I kind of turn up the bass. I'm like...
Wow.
I mean, to be honest with you, by now, I'm kind of focusing on the drums. Normally, I would have gone back and done a lot more on the bass, and that's kind of why I actually put the bass up here next to the kick drum. If you ever look at my mix setups, I typically have the bass sit next to the kick drum because they're so interactive. I kind of got it turned down now. The only thing I was thinking about with the bass is I'd been thinking about doing that thing on the kick drum where I put a tone in there, like I put like a frequency and I put a gate on it and I have the kick trigger the gate, but then I realized, well, the bass actually has a shitload of low end on it, so I probably don't need to do that. But if you want me to work on the bass, I will work on the bass. There's a whole other conversation going on in chat about the cello,
about the cello
there.
The cello
Maya
player.
Bloomfield. Hey, is that who you guys had last time? Is she the one you had last time on? There's been a couple other songs. Is that the same cello player? Because the stuff's really nice.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I was going to say those parts are really well played.
And I hadn't done anything to it. I just kind of left. They're kind of all about the same volume. I kind of left them where they're at. I mean, Colin knows what the hell he's doing. I just happen to know what he's doing better. No, I'm not kidding. His stuff always comes in already sounding great. There's like great choices on here. And so, yeah. Yes, she is their go-to cellist. Awesome. Hey, Colin or Caroline, I don't know which one it is because it's always Colin and Caroline. I refer to them as them. Can y'all put up a link for her on the chat, please? That'd be awesome. If there's any kind of like an Instagram link or something like that, I'd love to see that. And also, if you guys could put up your own links. I meant to put it in our shortcuts earlier, but I didn't do it. So if you could put up your links and mine as well, that would be freaking awesome. Yeah, let me look at the bass. Okay, I'll look at the bass. Fine.
Surprise.
Nice.
But yeah, because dude, there's no frets on it. So like finding a player that can play and have the right intonation.
Yo, it's so hard.
So hard.
Even good string players can struggle with it on recordings.
Yeah, of course. It's tough, man. So like that, I mean, that cello sounds amazing.
Yeah. All right, now we're in bass world. I always love the way that bass frequencies look.
I know.
They're so calming.
They are.
So Ben,
Sounds
how many strings do you use on your bass? One or two? I think two is all you really need.
I really only like to use one, and even then, like about half of it. No, I play bass in such a weird way. I would recommend not trying it that way.
Oh, dude, you know where the money is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in being a doctor.
You're not wrong.
So bass is a cool instrument to work on because it really helps define the sound of a drum kit.
It does.
If it's playing, even though you wouldn't really notice that. So it does feel like you've got to really come up with the right sound.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love these Fairchilds.
Mill, it says bass DI and then bass Sans. Does that mean like Sans amp? I'm thinking maybe they ran it through a Sans amp or something like that. There's I don't know. Whoops! Did I just delete something? Oh no, here we go. Whoops! Sans amp, yeah.
Yep, Sans amp.
I love Sans amp on bass. It's like one of my favorite things.
Oh, it's the go-to.
It is. I mean, if there's like a stereotype like marriage between two things, it's like bass and Sans amp.
I'm not getting the bass now. Wait.
Ooh.
Bus 39. Am I losing my freaking mind here? Hold on. Something's weird.
And yes, Sans
Yes.
amp is a brand.
And I didn't import my normal in-out setup on here. So now I'm just doing it by numbers, which is kind of goofy.
Dude, Sans amp is like...
God, am I losing my mind? Why
Yeah.
am I not getting the bass through this sub here?
It's an audio track.
Oh, jeez! Oh, my God! Nobody... I would like everybody to ignore what they just saw. It's funny because Slade hit me up one time with the same exact thing, and it's like, oh damn it, thanks Luke. Okay, everybody, let's just ignore what just happened. You didn't see it. You don't know anything about it. Just forget about it.
He was just setting you up.
Here we go.
Dude, SansAmp has got like
I just did that as an example to teach you to pay attention. I would never normally do something like that. Yeah, whatever.
Gotta pay attention.
It's got different characteristics than like other like distortion amp units.
Oh yeah,
you know?
and it also does the thing that we talk about this all the time, where like because it was used successfully, it became the sound that everyone wanted to. So then like everyone started using it, and now it sounds so good. It's like almost like the generic,
right?
But it's really good. I mean.
Yeah, Mill 3, like check it out. Like it's a cool plugin. Like I mean, they make the actual
they make
unit.
the drive is cool.
They make the
yeah.
unit, but I mean, you can get the plugin. Obviously, the unit's more cool.
Yeah.
But they make a plugin to at least try it out.
I've done like tours without even an amp. I just plug straight into the SansAmp. It goes in the PA, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's almost better than an amp because you don't have to carry it. I mean, you do have to carry it, but it's
like this big. Yeah.
Word to that.
Right.
So many decisions just based on how weak I am physically.
Remember carrying around those giant refrigerators?
Oh yeah, I got that
Oh my gosh.
Ampeg SVT at home, carrying that up and down the Smithsonian bar.
Smithsonian bar in the back.
Jesus.
That's how you know you're an Atlanta bass player.
Yeah, for real. A lot of other things happen on that stairwell. other than that.
I know.
Yeah.
Can't share them on the live stream.
Nah.
Right.
And what I want to point out is we're treating the bass DI and the SansAmp together.
Yeah.
They're being bussed into the bus and being treated together, you know. By Avid, let me see.
Question by Avid.
Yeah, let me see. I'll find it.
What? No.
So we're gonna look that up.
Something I've always wanted to ask. Why does a bass DI sound so good? And you don't see a ton of like other instrument DI. You know what I mean?
You guys talking
a good
about the
question.
SansAmp? Okay, so SansAmp is a plugin. However,
You got the unit. Oh damn, that's the one.
Look at that.
yeah,
Look at that.
Yeah.
In that box, so much versatility and power.
I know. You know,
It's
kind
incredible.
It was funny. I won't mention the name of the group, but there's a group here in Atlanta, and it's okay. I'll just go ahead and say it. It was actually Dave Cobb, the producer's old group. Not Wooden Billionaire. That was Rick's group. Damn it. It was like an English Britpop type thing, and David Cobb was in it, and most of the guys, like 2 or 3 of the guys in that group, were like producers and engineers, because Dave Cobb at that time had a studio here in Atlanta that went and worked at. We all knew each other. We all knew each other from back then. And they're kind of snobs about this stuff, so they had like mic'd the amp and done all this fancy stuff. And I think they had Jack Joseph Puig mix the record or something like that, but they weren't allowed in the control room during the mixing process, but they're allowed to come in and review it. So they're sitting there listening to it, and they're like, boy, the bass sounds amazing. What'd you run it through? And he holds one of these up.
Yeah.
And they were just so angry because they'd gone through all this, and they're running it through a damn pedal. But to tell you the truth, I use it sometimes live or like in sessions, but I actually kind of prefer the plugin.
Oh.
You know, the plugin, to me, doesn't sound any damn thing like this. This is cool, too. Plugin's got its own weird thing going on.
You're gonna start a fight. You're gonna start a fight.
I
saying
feel
that.
like I've been in the
You know
mood to
what I mean?
fight.
You're
I've
gonna
been a
start
little
to-
worked up lately. There's been a lot of shit going on around here. I have a lot of anger.
Take it out on that bass.
There you go. There you go.
Is there anything I don't have, JT? Yeah, there's actually a lot of stuff I don't have. I am eventually going to get my gear cam happening here and show all my gear. But, you know, the funny thing is like I'll go to people's, like, friends of mine's home studios, and they'll have way more gear than me. I mean, I've got a few things, but, like, it's crazy the people I know the stuff that they... Luke, you don't really have that much gear, do you?
No, not really.
You got, like, some speakers and a Pro Tools system and, like, a couple microphones or something? And do you have a guitar still?
Got a guitar.
Yeah, you got to bring it in sometime. We'll do a song. All right, let me get back on this bass a little bit. Ben, any suggestions, any thoughts on it?
I think it sounds cool. I'm still like locking into how good the drums sound.
I know, dude. The drums sound good, man.
I'm probably going to turn them down for what they'll actually want, but I like that sound. I just, you know, I tend to like when I'm mixing, I'll kind of overdo stuff and then kind of dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to knock the tops of people's heads off. That's how I like to mix. I like to make people go, "Wah!"
Yeah, you got to go a little far to know where the line is.
Yeah, I always feel like it's easier to go too far and pull back than to just creep up on it and hope you're there. It's like, how do you know you're there?
Yeah, we only know when we cross where the line is when we cross it, you know?
Yeah, you have to go too far to know where the right spot is, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And going too far is fun.
Yeah, of course.
I like when he brought up Jack Joseph Puig, because I was like, oh, the plug-in guy.
The plug-in.
JJP.
The Puig child.
You know,
and here's the actual little Fairchild
the Fairchild,
model.
yeah.
And what's cool about these
are great.
They have a variable release time. Like the first 80% of the release time is different from the last 20% of the release time.
Yeah.
And that's what gives it like its musical sound.
It oscillates. Or maybe that's not the right word.
Maybe not the right word, but
yeah.
it how would I describe it?
It has movement.
It has movement within itself. Yeah. Right. And that's what people refer to as oh, it's a musical sounding compressor because it's moving with the music. Same thing with the LA2A, very similar thing.
When you're working on a bass, when you're trying to mix a bass for a record, are you trying to make it stand out? Are you trying to make it bring everything together? Do you want it to blend really well? Or are these all separate decisions that you would just make kind of based on the nature of what the song is telling you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that it's going to be song to song. That's the obvious PC answer. But for me, I want the bass to be heard and felt.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Felt is the most important. Because I would say, but for all the instruments too, do you want to really... I like when it feels like it's happening in front of me or in my ears, you know?
I feel like people respond to it, you
What's
know?
up, man?
If there's one thing that people say, oh damn, it's when the bass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it stirs you. What's up, man?
What's
Ben.
up, man? Yeah. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? Ben. Nice to meet you, man. Whew.
Oh, it's nice. There's that damn
the crescendo.
Drum roll again.
Yeah.
Love it.
It gets you. And listening to the song after with those drums, the way that they sound, it makes me want to have a conversation with my neighbor. You know what I mean?
Dude.
I feel better.
I know. I'm ready to resolve. Do
exactly.
some conflict. Resolve something.
It's our community might be facing some trouble, but we can get through it together.
I know. I
Stay
am feeling good. I am feeling better now.
I think it sounds great.
Slade's in the house. Everyone.
In the house.
Ooh, nice decrescendo on the shaker. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to hear when it's done, dude.
I know.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
I got a hot take. Maybe mixing is awesome.
I know.
I like that ending, the way the cello slides down.
Yeah, it was cool. It was performance,
That was really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, a couple things I've been thinking about on this is that, let's go to the 4 square or something like that. Originally, these came in from drummer's perspective. Audience perspective. I switched to drummer's perspective. I always like to mix in drummer's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Because I'm always trying to kind of keep people in, almost in the band or whatever. And then I started to bring up this thing with a trim plugin where I might automate. It's kind of weird. I'm looking at the waveforms, and it doesn't look like some of those mounted toms are louder, but every once in a while one just kind of sticks out, so I might automate those down a little bit. I'm gonna jump over to another song because we're gonna do 3 songs today, and it just so happens that Slade walked in just in time for me to work on his song. And there's actually not that much to do on that one, but we're gonna work on it anyway. But I think this is pretty cool. This has been neat.
Dude, great start, Billy.
Yeah, sounds really good.
Thanks. And this will obviously change once I work on the bass some more and the guitar. And there's actually only lead vocal, no harmonies. So this will change, but I think it's kind of a cool start, and we'll see if Colin and Caroline can deal with all that reverb. They might just say, "What are you doing?" But that's kind of how I was hearing it. I'm sure it'll change, but I'm just having fun, All right, so let me switch over. While I'm switching to this next one, let's go to the over under for right now. I would like to for you guys to talk about what you guys are doing, because you guys got your podcast and stuff. So while I'm getting this other one ready, I'm going to take a little break and heat up my coffee. You guys talk about your thing.
Oh, we got to run it here.
I know, it's like
ready?
I'm not good at self promotion. I'm gonna let you take it away.
I can go for it. Luke and I have a podcast called Listen to This, with the number 2, because we grew up in the era where replacing the word 2 with the number 2 was all the rage. Very AIM, right?
Exactly.
Atlanta Institute of Music.
Of course.
The podcast, we talk about songs we like. We just try to find a song. I'll do like a lot of research about it, tell you about the history of it, how it was recorded a little bit, and then we'll just kind of like use that as a jumping off point to talk about it. So if we were doing kind of like an example of our episode of that last song, we could be like, this is by Hope Morgan. I forgot the name of the cello player.
Oh, Maya.
Yeah, Maya played the cello part. Like the song, Hope Morgan's a visual artist, blah, blah. And then I would just be like, Luke, what's up with the panning?
Yeah, we just break down the production, we break down the mixing, we break down the harmonics, the type of song it is, what makes it interesting, transitions, especially into the second verse. We just really break down the song, and we're starting a new season, top of the year.
Yeah, well, we'll be focusing mostly on artists from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which is where, sort of where we live, I guess. I guess I live in unincorporated DeKalb, but, it's close enough.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing like artists, like local artists, people who haven't made it big, people who will never make it big, bands that did make it big as well. We'll be working through, because I've been like an Atlanta musician for like 16 years now.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of groups. Yeah, some good ones too.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's fun. We try to have a conversation about the song that maybe you would have in your head, where you're like, oh, like Bill Withers, like the song's so cool. Oh, that guitar sounds great.
Right.
I wonder what the song's about.
Right.
So we try to kind of like extrapolate that. It's really fun to do. We got a lot of episodes. Again, that's Listen to This with the number 2.
Remember away messages?
Oh yeah, of course.
And every other letter would be capitalized. And
What was up with that typography?
Dude, I don't know.
Do you remember what your screen name was?
Oh, I'm sure it's something so embarrassing.
Yeah. Mine was the Torah Master.
Mine was probably like Triple X.
Triple X. Vin Diesel.
X. Yeah.
Vin Diesel is cool. KOOL.
Did you see the thing where like they did like a artificial intelligence like reanimated like some like fossils of like ancient humans, and it looked like Vin Diesel?
That's amazing. I wonder if that's his real name. Vin Diesel. That's cool.
That's so funny.
I wonder what he would be like as a mix engineer.
Vin Diesel.
Do you think it would be harder for a musician to mix a song than somebody who's not a musician at all, who just learns how to be a mix engineer from like another mix engineer?
I think there's different baggage.
It does feel like a different thing.
Like,
this is part of our podcast too. Me just asking these huge questions to Luke and him being like, "You put me on the spot."
I know that's a tough one, because like when
do you believe in God?
Mixing gods?
Mixing gods, yeah.
Chris Lord Algae?
No, Bruce Swedien.
Bruce Swedien, right. Sweden, of course.
I wonder how Swedien is doing in the World Cup.
This is an interesting comment. It's hard for tracking engineers to mix.
Oh, interesting.
And I get it, because like anytime you step up to a mix, you have your own personal baggage that you're going to think about. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a musician, you came up a tracking engineer, you came up a mixing engineer, you were a producer, you were a vocal producer, because sometimes you favor different things based on your own upbringing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like a producer mixes, the music might be a little bit too much.
Yeah, you bring your bias into it.
Yeah, you bring your own bias, yeah.
That's a really good point. Can they hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, yeah.
It took me years to get to a point where I could mix something I engineered well, like because you know what is in the mix, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
especially if you produced it, you know every little sound. So I was trying to make everything be heard
Right.
super clearly.
Right.
You also get really emotionally caught up in that stuff. But I think I've just done it so long, and there's been so many ups and downs. The emotional side of my psyche's just been absolutely destroyed. So I don't worry about it anymore. I just kind of get in there and do the work. The other thing is like I think. The question was, is it hard for a tracking engineer to mix? I think there's a big difference whether you tracked it or whether you just got it to mix. But if I track something, I need to wait a few days at the earliest to go back and mix it because I want to kind of forget what it. Luckily, I have a terrible memory, so I'll forget what I did.
Right.
I think that's really important. But it's like mixing is Ben. You were talking about this earlier. Mixing is almost like very psychological because I think there's this part where you got to balance. Like there's a scientific side, but there is an artistic side.
Yeah.
And it's
Dude,
one of the harder
Billy.
things to do to balance these things.
He said something in the stream that you didn't get to hear, and he was talking about like when we're making songs, there's like harmony and chords and melody, and he was talking about how when you're mixing, you're creating harmony throughout the frequencies, and I was like freaking mind blown that like there is a harmony element to what you're doing in the mixing part.
JT, a tracking engineer would be
So good, dude.
the guy, like if somebody goes in the studio, he's the guy who's going to go and set up the mics and initially, just put it down on tape or tape. Jeez, what am I talking about? Put it down on tape. Put it on a hard drive.
Yeah.
Record it into the machine. And a lot of times there's some guys that's just kind of what they do. Like they're just into tracking. Nowadays most people track and mix, but the tracking it's kind of a different. There's different skills. I mean, even on a personal level, like a tracking engineer has to be way ahead of everybody. Like I think a tracking engineer in the studio, you have to be ahead of the producer, the artist, and anybody in that room. You got to be not only making sure that everything's set up the right way, you got a good signal, you're recording it the right way, whatever, but also kind of looking around and seeing what's going on and anticipating problems. Successful tracking engineer is so far ahead of everybody, whereas a mixing engineer is literally behind everybody.
You're
like it's here the
100%
last
That's cool way of
one.
putting it.
I love that.
Typically alone, and there's nobody bothering you, and you can sit back and
Slowly lose your mind.
Tracking is way more. There's way more psychological baggage involved
Yeah.
because you're dealing with
People's
people's emotions in real
performance.
time.
Yeah.
In real time, exactly.
well, and lunatics too.
And lunatics. yeah.
I did a lot of tracking for years and finally got out of it because I'm crazy enough as it is. And it taught me a lot of patience, because the other thing is a tracking engineer, beyond like maybe what mics to use and all that, there's a certain point where their input is got to stop.
100%.
Yeah, you can't say anything. That was really hard for me because when I started doing this, I was producing my own stuff. I'm a songwriter. I had bands, and then I started tracking, and I'm just supposed to sit there and keep my damn mouth shut, and it was so hard. So I learned patience, but I also learned a lot of stuff because there'd be times people would come in and they'd want to do something that just seemed ridiculous to me, but because I had to keep my mouth shut, I had to let it go. And sometimes those things turned out to be quite genius. And like, wow.
You mentioned too that like a tracking engineer has to be like really ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
And then you said a mixer has to be behind, but it's kind of funny because I'm sitting here being like, as a mixer, you almost have to be ahead of yourself too.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to like have this vision.
Yeah.
And just constantly be working towards that, but also like reacting to what's really happening.
Right.
I think mixing is balance between problem solving and creativity. Like there's a certain part where you're
Very cool.
you're taking the mix somewhere, and then there's another part where you're solving problems, and there's a balance between that. And I'm trying to
It's crisis management in action.
In real time.
Yeah.
live mixing is crisis.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, my God.
See, because when you're mixing in the studio, there ain't no crisis.
Yeah.
It's your own personal
Right.
personal crisis.
That was like
but
existential.
when you're mixing, it's just kind of like there ain't nobody around. I mean, in the old days, people always wanted to attend, but nowadays everything gets sent to me, so I'm pretty much by myself. I mean, even in the old days, I was by myself because I don't know, it just worked out that way mostly. But it's actually it's really different, and I feel like with me because I produce, I mix, I track, I do all of it. You learn over time you change where your head's at, you know. And kind of going back to the original part, like is it hard to mix as a tracking engineer? I kind of almost think of them as two different people. So when I get into mixing something, even when I tracked it, I might have tried a bunch of stuff when I was tracking it, but as a mixer, I come in and say, "Nah, what the hell was that idea?
Yeah.
Nah, you're gonna get down in the mixer. You're gonna get cut, or I'm gonna edit out this section, or it's gonna be put in the background." And I just forget that. I have to kind of forget that I did it, and kind of have this kind of cold hard thing, like what's actually gonna work, not what I wanted to work,
right?
What is going to work, you know? Luckily, I'm kind of have a split personality, and it's a little easier for me, so.
Non-attachment is huge for the creative process.
But you don't want to shut yourself down during the tracking. You definitely want to make sure you.
No, during the tracking, I'm throwing everything, and I'm going crazy with the tracking. I'm doing so many stupid things. Like, how many times have you heard me say, "I have an idea"?
Yes, trillions.
Yeah, and I keep putting them on, and
you do.
And I'm working on a new song called Poison, and there's like so much stuff on it. I think it's all going to end up in the mix, but as I go on, I realize I'm going to have to turn some of that stuff down. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm still in the very emotional attachment phase right now, where I'm attached to everything in there. It's a very emotional song for me. I'll play it for y'all off the stream later. Everybody else on the streams heard the damn thing, because I've pretty much recorded most of the song on. I've done 4 streams on the damn song.
It's badass.
It's time to quit. That's trying to mix it and move on with my life. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to a song called "First" by Slade, who is sitting back here. Let's see. Okay, let me see myself. There we go. And this is
there he is.
So Slade, as was originally. Somebody requested if he could come over here and intern, and I don't do interns. I can't stand having interns, but I said, well, if he wants to come and hang, that's cool. And he came and hung, and I thought, wow, he's kind of cool. And then he asked if we could stream some of his music, and I was like, well, we'll give it a shot. And it actually kind of came out good, so now we're working on a project. And how many songs are we in now? 3? 3. Well, there's some of them we're not going to keep, I think.
3.5. I like that.
He doesn't know that.
Yeah, some of that stuff. By the way, that one heavy one that we started, and you're like, nah. And I was like, no, save it. I pulled it up, dude. We got to work on it. It's pretty cool.
All right, bet. You got to play it again. Maybe I'll like it more now.
Dude, it's got some good ideas on it. But this song is called "First," and I don't really know what this kind of music is. Every time I start a song with Slade, I just think it's just the stupidest thing ever. I just like, what the hell is he doing? And then we get into it. I'm like, wait, that's kind of cool, man. Like, I don't know how to explain. Slade, what kind of music is this? You youngsters, you explain to me.
I wish I knew.
Tell us what is cool. Tell us, please. We don't know.
I think if your reaction is, what the hell is this? That's a good sign.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. To surprise me is actually really hard to do, which is one of the reasons he's sitting on that couch right now, because it's really hard to surprise me.
You got to tell him the story about how you thought I was boring.
What? Oh yeah. So so Slade came over and he just didn't talk much, and he's like really quiet, and then he said, and I'd heard some of his music, and I was like, okay, and then he said, Can we stream some of my music? And since he'd been helping me out here, like he actually brought me a webcam and gave me the stream deck, and he's just a cool dude, and brought me some whiskey. I was like, well, what the hell, man? Let's do it. But I thought, oh my God, this is gonna be the most boring stream because this guy's so quiet. And then we started the stream. That was the first night you brought the whiskey over. And we all had shots, and then it kind of just, I don't know, like you just kind of like animated. It was just like somebody hit a button and you went, and it just was a really good stream. I was like, well, I just think he was being polite. So the moral of the story is, I hate when people are being polite. That whole respectful thing, they're all being respectful. Oh, you know what records he worked on? Oh, I got to keep my mouth shut and be polite. It's like, fuck that shit, man.
Well, he was respecting his elders.
Thanks, man.
That's okay.
How about a mixing assistant? I used to have that back in the day, like somebody had set up my mixes for me. But that was when I was mixing full time. I went 3 years where all I did is mix. And then I realized I wanted to blow my brains out. I can't stand it. Mixing all the fucking time. But I literally had a whole machine. I had like 2 different guys and then they would like prep them for me. It was like a machine. Whatever. I just, I could probably use a mixing assistant now once in a while, but I'm just doing so many different things now. My main thing is that I don't want to be bored. So anyway, this is called First. I'm going to, and Slade, by the way, since there's only a kick, a clap, a hi-hat, a cymbal, and a percussion, it says percussion. There's not much to do here, so I might do a couple wacky things. They might end up in the final mix, so don't freak out back there if you hear me doing something wacky, but I just wanted to have some fun with it.
Go for it.
Here we go. Oh, and guys, let me know, the kick drum is loud as hell. If it starts distorting out there, somebody let me know.
Oh, yeah. I like going from the last track to this.
I know.
Just shows you Billy's got that versatility.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
good for him.
I know.
He will not be in a box.
No.
Well, you have to be multi-talented. A lot of tools in the box. You gotta diversify.
Gotta diversify.
Yeah. Also, it's all just music at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah. This is a good lesson in like how not having a lot of elements can actually be a big thing. Like, there's not that many tracks.
Oh, I love that about it, though, you know?
Yeah, it can be an extra challenge. Absolutely. An extra challenge with yourself.
Yeah.
You know? Look at this comment.
What we got here?
That's so funny. Can I put emojis in the chat?
Welcome to the comedy barn.
That's so funny.
You gotta have a good sense of humor if you're working on music all the time.
Got to, bro.
This shit is too serious.
Got to. I know.
I really like the way that these backgrounds sound.
Yeah, dude, it's cool.
They're cool. They're different than what I would expect.
Right.
Because they sound kind of distorted, kind of overdriven,
Yeah.
but in a way that's not like the way we all distort our vocals this
Right.
way. It's not like the generic version.
Right,
Once again, this is another one of those. I need to get the broken out tracks of this because I got that little guitar part that bing, 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 and that's just like a sub mix of everything. I need to turn up my guitar. And being a guitar player, I'm going to say. I need everything separate, man. I need it all separate so I can turn up shit. So I can turn your shit down, I can turn my shit up.
Ooh.
It's a cool sample. Dude.
Yeah. I like that 808 open hi-hat sound where it comes in. Where is it? There.
There, yeah.
Love that. Oh, the clariphonic. Oh, no.
Shit.
Oh, no. Cush audio.
Dude, what a great plugin, dude. This plugin, you can get in trouble, though.
Really?
You can get in trouble. You can overdo it. Absolutely overdo it.
I love this. My homie Will Mitchell has got the clariphonic rack gear. Put it on so many records that I made.
It's interesting.
Sounds great with bass.
It's not a normal EQ. I think it's a parallel EQ. Oh yeah, it is. It says right there, parallel EQ. So it doesn't behave like how a normal EQ behaves.
Yeah. What's parallel mean? You can kind of affect different parts. Like it divides up the frequency ranges even more.
No. I think the way that this one works is as the input signal comes in, it like duplicates it and affects one of them and puts them together.
Something I always want to know, and I'll ask Billy this too, but I'll ask you as well. When you're working on like a track like this that has like a lot of energy to it, how do you keep that energy in mind when you're doing like not menial, but you're doing like very like mechanical stuff with a mix? You know what I mean? You got to keep that energy.
the one thing that I do, like if I'm doing something menial and I need to maintain the energy, I actually turn the speakers down.
Oh, cool.
And I say to myself, if I can keep the momentum going, or I can keep the energy going at a low volume while I'm doing these menial tasks, then I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
For some reason, all the shit I complain about that people send to me, like, why you do this? You got stuff submixed and you got all this. On this, all these songs with you, this is the sloppiest shit I've done in years.
Nah, what's crazy is we both did it. Like,
Maybe it
the
has
beat
something
is
to do with the
labeled
whiskey.
weird, the song's labeled weird, like...
I
yeah.
know. Well, we're working so fast, too, and we're
Facts,
working
that's
on
true.
2 computers, and we're sending the files back and forth, and I'm trying to keep this creative flow going.
Yeah.
And then we get done, and we stream for 7 hours, and we get done, and, like, you got to go home. And then later on, we forget that everything's submixed. But, yeah, I got to get all the files. Are you trying to figure out what you did?
I'm trying to
Oh,
figure out the
Jesus.
name of the project.
Fuck. I'm going to have to replay the guitar part again.
This is a big part of the mixing experience too, right?
Absolutely.
Figuring out how to
When we
move.
sent it to you, it was
files.
called first.
Exactly, 100%. You'd be surprised, like how many times, like all the different files are just in different computers and different hard drives, or they're the wrong files, and you just combining everything is a task in itself. You know.
That's kind of the modern day version of the band at the mixing board,
Exactly.
pushing up the faders. Gotta get these in my fader pushing hands.
Yeah, and especially like when people are making stuff remotely,
Yeah.
like and they're just sending files, like you need to be able, you need the one guy who can pull it all together.
Yeah. Great melody in the little dee-doo-doo, dee-doo-doo.
What's cool is the hi-hat doesn't play on the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a
You see how it drops on the one? That's cool.
And that low end sounds cool. That vroom.
Yeah, like he was saying that was the
He's saying it's a bass,
that
right?
was the what was it? What's
the big
pedal?
muff.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I hear that bass, it makes me feel like I'm like starting a very powerful car. That's like the feeling I get.
Claps, like a lot of people overlook this like little mid-range area for claps. Sometimes they feel like you need to boost the high end, and that's not always the case. Like obviously the high end's nice, but really that area right there, kind of like around the 1K, if you really want your claps to be heard, you do a little bump right there, your claps are going to be heard. It like makes it the more of like the skin, especially on claps. You
Yeah.
can hear more of like the, you know.
You can hear the chafing.
Like, there it is, the chafing. That's what I was looking for.
I did an 8-hour stream of just clap recording.
My hands are chafed. And so obviously right here we're going into like the snare drum reverb.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Why is reverb one of those plugins that feels very easy to overdo?
Because it's kind of like seasonings,
Yeah.
right? They taste really good when it's right, and you think by adding more you're making your dish better.
No, yeah.
But in the sense you're just kind of washing everything out. Now there's a time and place for it.
Oh, of course.
Like in the song, the first song.
Yeah.
There's a time and place. But like something like this, like you can't just have reverb all over the track. It's gonna muddy up the whole track. But it's so easy to overdo.
Yeah, because it's fun.
And you can convince yourself that it needs it.
Oh, of course, of course. Yeah, there'll be plenty of times when I'm in there making something and it's really sloppy, and I'm like, that's the artistic statement that I'm trying to make.
That it is sloppy.
And I'm like, nope.
The thing with reverb is if you put reverb on everything, then nothing has reverb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it loses what its effect is doing.
Is that one of Buddha's Four Noble Truths?
I think it was, yeah.
If you put reverb on everything,
There is no
has,
reverb.
There is none.
There's none, yeah, because like everything becomes a wash. So I'm really selective about what things are going to be treated with like the audible reverb. I call it like audible reverb, you know?
Ooh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because sometimes having that, giving a little movement to the hi-hat by using a delay,
Oh, it's really cool.
it gives it a little bit of movement. Yeah,
It almost feels like the part's different.
it does a little
Yeah,
bit.
because it's adding a little bit more instrumentation. I actually really like the way this track sounds.
It is cool.
These guys are good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guitar.
Who played the guitar? It's Billy.
Really, yeah.
Sneaky guitar legend.
Sneaky. I know.
Sneaky.
Sneaky pirate.
Yeah,
Those were the best tides for pirates.
of course.
Oh yeah, I could just listen to
I could.
a hi-hat
This
track
one I
all
could.
day.
I'm digging this filter, and what could be cool is if like he got it to like move,
Yeah, I always wonder about that.
you know, so it kind of has like a little bit of
Yeah.
movement to it. That could be cool. There we go.
I'm always curious about this. Like, when do you know when to listen to when to solo an instrument versus listen to it in the mix? Or are you just kind of doing those like one after the other, after the other, after the other?
Right. The soloing comes from, you know, when you're trying to identify like a specific thing for one element. So he's like, okay, I have this hi-hat idea, but I need to fine tune it within itself to make sure that it's right. And then when you go back to the other elements is when you're saying, okay, now how does this work in the bigger
Yeah.
picture? Like trying to like get that effect right in the context of everything is kind of hard because it's a subtle effect. So by soloing it and saying, okay, like let's fine tune this effect and make sure that it's good on its own.
And then you go back in
then
and
you
you're
go
like,
back
oh, it
in.
does work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ooh. Compressors. Crazy what they do.
Dude, I know nice color scheme.
Digging tall. You hear their new song?
Digging tall.
Digging
yeah.
tall.
My truck left me.
My train left me. Digging tall. It's funny because tall is the short one.
You're right. You're right.
It's the ironic.
Yeah.
I don't need them to deny, but we do need them because I mean, I'm gonna need them when I really mix.
Ooh.
Yeah, the reverb sounds nice on the claps, man. Sometimes reverb on it it's got to be the right reverb, man. I like how they made it look like a guitar amp, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the UI, you know.
It's beautiful. Oh yeah. I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Bass sounds like that are what get me out of the bed in the morning. It's funny, there's a nice like he recorded with a Big Muff, which is like a distortion pedal made by Electro Harmonics.
Right.
And there's like a big split amongst bass players, like who made the better Big Muff? Like, is the American one better or is the Russian one better? And it's like, I don't know. The one I can afford is better.
There you go. Yeah.
That's usually the deciding factor.
Yeah.
Oh, of
Money.
course.
Yeah, so much about artistic decisions and things like that are just necessity. You know, what do you have to work with?
Yes, I mean that's in one world that's a restriction, but in another world it's opening creative doorways.
The world's already put enough restrictions on me. I don't need to do anything about that.
Every
That's
time I
cool.
brush my teeth, I see what happened to me.
I'm digging this like
Gritty.
parallel, like where he duplicated the kick
Yeah.
and is now gonna treat it in a very aggressive way.
And he'll blend it back in with the
Yeah.
original sound.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like that the gritty plugin looks gritty.
Yeah, they did a good job. Someone had fun.
Somebody spilled some beer on my plugin. Oh, the Devil Lock. We're back here.
Nice. And what he's really trying to do is anchor the kick. so that it still has some dynamic within itself, even though it is a sample.
Yeah.
Having this like parallel crushed one just helps it anchor it in the relationship with all the other things going on, you know?
Ooh. You like guitar amp modelers? How do you feel about it? Yeah.
I do. Like sometimes on synthesizers, it's really cool.
Oh, I think it's cool on so many things.
Yeah.
Something that I think is really cool about like working in the box. That's what you say when you're working on a computer, right? I sound like I'm in the know. When you're working in the box, something that's cool is like it's so much easier to take creative chances.
Right.
Like you can just with all these guitar amps, you could just flip over to another amp. You could run this amp through a thing. Whereas like, imagine owning all those amps.
Oh, dude, and just like trying to hook it up, you know, like.
That's an interesting question in the chat for Luke.
Let me see what's going on.
What's something that you had to unlearn when you started mixing?
Ooh.
Dude, good question.
Ooh.
Something you had to unlearn.
Good career advice from from your counselor.
Right.
Be one. What do you think?
Man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like blown away.
It's like maybe I feel like I'm maybe like you have to learn how to be flexible song by song, because when you learn how to do something, you learn it in like a prescriptive way, and then it's like you learn you do this to this, you do this to this, and then when you start actually working on anything, you're like, oh, I've got to be flexible.
Dude, you know what? You're 100% right. Like I think it's so easy in today's world and today's technology to get stuck in template world.
Yeah.
And like I treat every kick drum like this, or I treat every 808 like this, or I treat every guitar like this. And I had that thinking for a while. Like when I first started, I was like, this is what I'm going to do to my kicks. This is what I'm going to do to my snares. And I realized that I'm completely wrong in that approach, and that every sound has to be handled in a custom way.
You have to meet the music new every time.
Exactly, because like, remember when there was that time in Pro Tools where you could make like track presets, and you could pull in like your kick preset and your bass preset and all these presets. And I stopped doing that. And the moment when I stopped doing that, I immediately got better because I started addressing the sound for what it was instead of for what I was trying to make it be. That was good. That's a great question.
I like whatever just happened to this mix.
I know. Oh, nice little verb on the kick. This could be a whole different song, dude.
Yeah. I like that kick has got like a life to it, and then it's done.
Yeah. It's almost like it's gated almost because it's so short.
And it's really letting the snare, or the claps, I guess, breathe.
Right.
Which that's a really important thing.
Man, this Valhalla, man.
They're cool. Great name, too.
I know, like, they fucking killed it.
Random Space. Ooh. I feel that one in my chest.
It's like got this like hypnotic element to it.
Well, that's drums, man.
Yeah.
We've been using them to trick people into things for...
Truck them into battle.
Right? Yeah, battle. All those cool like ancient rituals.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why your kick drums got to really snap if you want to be an H&M. You got to trick people into buying things.
That line is so great.
What do I do with my hands?
That is such a great line.
What a fantastic movie as well.
I know.
True cinema.
Yeah, what happened to movies, man?
They ran out of ideas.
They're done. I'm looking forward to Freaking Out with Billy Hume, the movie.
The movie, yeah.
I wonder who would play Billy. We'll have to ask him
Yeah, who
who
do
he
you think
wants,
would
who he
play
wants
him?
to play.
Okay, one moment. I'm going to ask him this question.
He's taking him out of the zone.
It's going to happen. Hold on.
That guitar sounds awesome, dude.
It's like a Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
That's interesting. They're pretty dynamic live. I'm not into that style of music too much, but they're really fantastic live.
How do you record a guitar that sounds like a performance versus it being a guitar part? Because something I think was really cool about that guitar is I feel it being played.
That's me playing guitar on that.
Hey, now,
that's what it is.
Was that the question?
no, that's not the question.
Oh, is that Billy on
You can't
guitar?
hear us.
There's another question. That's very important.
Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Can't we just talk about me playing guitar? No.
Okay, here's the question. Luke, do you want to throw the question out?
What was the question?
I'll let Ben throw it out about who would
Oh, say.
Oh.
Thanks, guy.
Can you put them in a new folder because it's all that stuff mixed up?
Yeah, Billy. First of all, the guitar sounds amazing.
Oh, thanks,
Yes.
man.
Yeah, I wanted to know, how do you like record a guitar to sound like a performance instead of just like a part? Because it sounds alive. Like I can feel a person playing it in front of me.
That's because I'm not a very good guitar player, so I'm struggling so hard to play it that you hear the fucking. I'm kind of being funny, but I'm being totally real too. I went through a period of time as a producer hiring the best drummers in Atlanta, which is always great. But they'd come in and they'd nail the part. I'm like, oh, that's really, really good, and it would sound good, and they'd have great sounding drums. And then I'd get some band in. And they'd have a drummer that couldn't quite get the part, but he's so worried about getting fired or that I might replace his parts or hire another drummer, so they're just in there struggling, and I'd have to edit it. They're like, oh, he messed up here, and I'd have to edit it. But the funny thing is, I'd go back and listen, and I always liked what I had from the shittier drummer more than the pro. And sometimes their drums weren't even that great sounding. I would have to, jump through some hoops to make the drums sound good, which would make me usually invent something new I had never had before. Whereas the great drummer comes in, everything sounds great. I'm like, well, I'll just turn up the drums. And I figured out the reason is because the guy who isn't as good of a drummer is trying so hard.
Yeah.
He's put everything out of his mind. He's in there sweating. Sweating. I gotta play this part. Whereas the other guy, you know what he's thinking?
What?
He's in there playing the drums. He's thinking,
I sound good.
I need to pick up some milk on the way home and go to the dry cleaners and,
Yeah.
It still sounds great, but there's not that emotion in it, and there's not that angst and that energy in there. And, and I'm not saying I don't hire pro drummers. I finally found some guys that are not only really good, but they actually, I think, put the other stuff out of their head, and they're just really putting that energy and trying. But I do think that the motivation and the struggle is important. And it's actually something that you can even hear in singing. Like if you listen to any old Police records, Sting's got a high voice, but he always sang slightly higher than he should. And it forced him to kind of stretch for those notes, which is probably why his voice is kind of shot these days. But something about the struggle and trying to play. So kind of getting back to my guitar parts, I'm literally trying so hard. The other thing that I've figured out over the years is that I used to punch in. I'd sit down here and punch in and punch in and punch in. I enjoy the process. Working on rap music made me... It was this experience where I'd be working with a rap producer and artist, and they'd like the first or second thing I'd played, and they'd be like, well, I was a little off beat.
Yeah.
Let me get it right. And they'd, politely sit there and, I'd do like 20 takes and they'd go, that's good, but can we listen to that second take again? And I'd go back and go, oh, damn, that's kind of cool. Or sometimes they'd get mad, like, fine, I'll put it in there. And then I'd listen later and go, damn it. That was the better one, you know?
Yeah.
So that took me years to figure out. The other thing that's going on now is because, like, what you're hearing, this was done during a stream. Like, Slade, have we ever recorded not off a stream? I think 100% of whereas Jim and I, we worked on Jim songs, and then mine, a little bit of that happens off stream. A lot of Jim stuff is off the stream. Some of it's on. But with this stuff, everything you're hearing is done during a stream.
Yeah.
And the thing that's been surprising for me is that I'm realizing that it actually kind of puts this performance aspect into it because I know there's people watching.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yes,
it's completely revolutionized how I think about what I'm doing. I'm also finding I'm getting my parts done quicker because I know like I can't do it 20
Yeah.
times. It's gonna get
Right.
boring. I just have to focus and try to nail the part. As you can see here, I actually had to go back and edit.
And then we have
The
one
hell-
more question.
Wait, what was I playing right there? Hold on.
All right.
Oh, that's because my timing was terrible.
Sounds amazing.
That's cool though.
Sounds great.
But its performance aspect is
Yeah, so I
Genius
think that's a
comment.
big part of it. This was done on a stream, and that completely changes your whole attitude about what's happening.
okay. And then finally, so that we can move on, everyone is
Are you
looking
trying to rush
forward
me?
to. Well, I'm trying to.
Go
Yes.
on.
Everyone's wondering about. Now, listen to me carefully. Everyone's wondering about Freaking Out with Billy Hume, the movie.
Oh yeah, I'm excited
Yes,
about this.
Yes. Now everybody's really fired up about this. Now the question here it is. Here we go. Who's going to play Billy Hume in Freaking Out with Billy Hume, the movie? Go.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
You read my mind.
He could.
Oh
do,
wow! He could do.
Brad Pitt.
He could do
I mean,
it.
I was just kidding. I was going to just say, "Oh, Brad Pitt," and then he said it.
He'd
Oh
he'd
my
have to
God,
go
that's
method.
hilarious.
Yeah. He couldn't handle it.
Well, the funny Richard Gere.
Richard
oh my
Gere's
God,
good.
That's
That's
so
good.
funny. I don't know if there's going to be a Billy Hume Freaking Out with Billy Hume the movie, but I
Well, there should
actually
be.
am working on a documentary about my studio,
There we
The
go.
Zone.
Yes.
I'm just getting there. I got a lot of interviews
That'd
to
be
do.
a brilliant documentary. I would
Yeah.
love
But
to
yeah,
watch
a lot
that.
of records have been done in my studio, The Zone, where I did like, Lil Jon, Bone Crusher, Yin Yang Twins. I mean, I've had that studio for decades, and it goes back. There's bands. I'm regularly getting hit up by people that said, I recorded you with you in the 80s or the 90s. And actually, when we were doing that song, when we were at the video shoot for Twerking at the Hoedown,
Right.
the guy, Simple Man,
Yes.
he's on the song,
Man,
and I'd
right,
heard of
he
him
is.
from Danny Boone from Rehab because Danny Boone and him were working together. When I met him at the video shoot, he said he had been to my studio, The Zone, in the 90s. He was part of another band, and I recorded them.
Wow.
Oh my God, the name of the band is on the tip of my tongue. And I actually played guitar or bass on the song.
That's interesting.
Going
And
way
then-
back. It was like some sort of like maybe an R&B thing or something like that. Anyway, I'm doing a documentary about my studio and all the bands that came in and the people were there and all the stories behind it.
Well, it's interesting that so many things happened and so many people came through there, and it's hard to remember all of it.
I have a hard time remembering my kids' names.
Yeah,
fair.
who are they?
Fair.
We're not rushing you, but studio time is not cheap, and somebody is paying the bills to the Scrooge of studio owner. I'm actually my own studio owner. I actually hate going to studios, like big studios, because of, well, for a lot of reasons, but I'm more aware of the time. It's kind of why I built my own studio, and I prefer to work in my own studio so I can kind of just do what I want to do, and not worry about the time. Except when there's somebody I want to get out of the studio and I go, we're running out of time.
Right.
That's so
Oh my
funny.
gosh, that reminds me of the time you kicked that guy out of your studio.
Were you there?
No, but you told me about it so vividly.
Which
I
one?
felt like I was there. The most recent one.
Oh, that guy.
Priceless. Okay, that's another story
Well,
for another
he had
day,
paid
right?
his deposit, and I'd done slightly more than half, and I felt justified in telling him to get the fuck out. He was very rude to the singer.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't get rude to the singer. He asked for a Hispanic singer, and she was definitely a Hispanic singer, and then he wanted her to sing like an American. I'm like, what the hell? And so I threw him out, and the poor singer, she came in, and she thought it was because of her. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I threw him the hell out of my damn studio. I've done that to quite a few people.
Awesome.
Like it's like, yeah, it's what I do for a living, but I'm not putting up with any shit. I'll fucking go back to painting houses and hanging wallpaper before I take shit from anybody. I swear there's so much shit you got to take in this business. And it's funny how people will like, you work with a big star or something like that, and it's weird the shit that people will think that you'll fucking put up with. And I'll be like, fuck no. Fire me. I've intentionally
good.
either
Please do.
kicked people out or
Gotta have
walked
that
off projects
integrity.
because
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
not
I
going
know,
to take. I got
integrity,
into
yeah.
music because I love it. I'm not going to take. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck who you are. I'm not going to take that shit. I think by now most people have figured that out about me. But yeah, I'm not.
Well, they all haven't. Not all of them.
You
have,
know,
so that's
I
good running.
one prominent rapper. Not going to say his name, and I'd known for years. And I co-produced a song and played guitar on it, and then he sent me the producer contract, and it said 0 in my advance fee. 0.
Oh man.
And he was like trying to explain to me how he helped make my career. I was like, motherfucker, I was working on hit songs when you were living in your van. Fuck you. And he said,
Oh,
and he
snap.
said, well, I'll just have to take it off the album. And I said, well, please do.
Yes.
And he sent me a contract next day with the money I was asking for. Like I think he actually thought they'd be like, he might take it off the album and nobody will hear my song. You know, I got enough songs out there, and even if
Right.
I didn't, the hell with you. Like, don't think you're gonna rip me off
Yeah.
because you're famous.
But I don't need it that bad.
Fuck, I'll go down play Skinner covers at the local bar, or I'll fucking go fishing or something. But I'm not gonna like take your goddamn shit.
I could book you.
Fuck,
God,
man.
I-
Sorry, it just gets me worked up because people have done it over and over again.
No, it's amazing to hear somebody in the music business enforcing boundaries. I'm very impressed. You know what I mean? It's always nice to hear somebody
People
who's
need
like,
to
I
do
stand
it
up for
more
myself. I agree.
Yeah, is that why you play by yourself now?
Yeah, totally. Exactly why.
I'm being totally serious.
No,
Chad.
it's true. It's totally true.
Yeah, like who wants to
Yeah.
put up with that shit?
Yeah.
You know, it's like I got into music because I love it and I want to have fun. I don't want to put up with crap.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many people I see put up with just the dumbest shit.
We all have to be more like that. We got to stand up for ourselves more.
There's some
Yeah.
level of desperation to make it. So.
Well, I mean, I'm desperate.
We're all desperate.
I'm still
God knows
desperate at this damn age, but desperate in a different
well.
way, but not desperate to take somebody's crap. There, I said it. Okay, that's my rant.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for answering those questions for us. I'm not sorry that we asked. I'm happy, but yes, we should move on.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot more I can do on this song. I mean, I put a little reverb on the kick.
It sounds
I
great.
put this cool hi-hat on the echo on the hi-hat. It's pretty basic. I do want to move on because I was trying to spend like about an hour per song. The next one is going to be a bit more of a challenge, and
Nice.
I will pull it up and
Looking forward to
explain
it.
it. This one, I'm actually a little nervous about. Even though I recorded it and I already mixed it, I took everything off and to remix it today. But while I'm doing that, Ben, when you guys were talking earlier, did you talk about your live show at all?
Like me as a solo musician.
Yeah, what's your the unique thing that I've never heard of before that you are doing, and I've only witnessed one time.
Oh, well, it's funny because you came to the first time I ever played.
Oh, that was the first one.
Yeah, that was the first one, and
Holy
I
shit.
probably played like 560 gigs since then.
Wow, well, hold on. While I'm pulling up this next stream, explain
Yeah.
what it is that you're actually doing.
I can do it. So I have a sort of career now, I guess, as like a solo bass player. Instrumental, I don't sing. Basically, it came out of like necessity. I didn't have any gigs lined up, and one of my tours had gotten canceled, and I was like, oh damn, I got to figure out a way to make money on my own. So I just started buying looper pedals, reverb pedals, etc., and kind of put together this thing where I sort of make little beats on the bass, record it really quickly, and I can perform like whole songs. And honestly, it's been fun being an instrumental musician because vocals are cool, but they also are very attention seeking. So I can find myself playing in a lot of places. You know, it's like background music, but then when people tune in, they're like, oh man. So it's fun.
So, like, are you creating those loops live, or are they like pre-recorded? And
Oh,
then you just bring them in.
they're all live.
Yeah, like on Twitch or something.
Yeah, but I just do. I just like play like gigs out there.
Yeah, but you're doing it live performances.
Yeah, and it's really fun. It's challenging to try to do something, you know, entirely on your own, especially as a bass player, because all I do is think about other instruments.
Right.
So even when I'm performing, I'm like being like, oh, this is the piano part, or like whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's fun. I would encourage anybody who's an instrumentalist to try to do something just by themselves.
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
a cool challenge.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, because then you really learn, like, oh, the bass is an instrument. It's not just the bass.
Right.
Yeah, I was checking out your YouTube channel earlier.
My horrible quality. I'm sorry about
There
that.
was, oh God, and you were playing a song because this actually happened when Crystal and I went and saw you at your first gig in Dahlonega,
Yeah.
like, we'd be listening, like, I know what song that is.
Yeah.
But because you're doing it all on bass, I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized, oh, it's a Fleetwood Mac song. God, well, and the song you had today, no, I can't remember. I think it was what was the last video you did?
Maybe it was either Colby Calais or like the Usher, one of the early Usher songs.
It might have been. It was one that. But it was really cool. And I actually want to have you on a stream.
That'd be fun.
After we're done with this, we're going to talk about having you come in and do your thing on my stream, but see if we can take it a bit further.
I like that. I like that.
Like, we'll do a session, and that one can go for a long time. Usually my session streams go like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours because we're just going on. But I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, it'd be super fun. I would be honored, honestly.
That would be a lot of fun. All right, next up is a song by an artist named Jessta James. Jim put the link up there. I actually did this years ago, and I recorded it. Go to the full DAW view for a second. Now, I recorded this at Blackbird Studios, where I had done a bunch of work, and as you can see here, this is like me standing in front of, like, I think this is the largest API east of the Mississippi or something like that. It's like, I can't remember how many channels they had on it. I actually used every channel on this board for one of the sessions I had up there. Kind of long story. The engineer's like, nobody's ever done that. But they have, as you can see, they have lots of gear. I made them pull out a bunch of distressors and extra stuff from the back. The song we're about to work on, I actually recorded in their A room on their Neve console. And this Neve console here is the sister of the one that was at, oh my God, what was the name of that studio in California? That there's actually a documentary about this particular Neve console. They closed it down. It's like, what's his name? Dave Grohl bought the mixer.
Right.
Yeah, there's a documentary
Sunset.
about that Neve mixer. This is the sister mixer of it.
Oh my God.
And that's what I tracked it on. There's another picture of the API. But the thing about this studio is because they've got a great staff and team, when I go in there, I can experiment. This isn't from the session that we're mixing. This is from another session, and this is actually in their D room. It's a different studio. But a great example, as you can see, I've got 2 sets of overheads. I've probably got 2 snare mics. There's like multiple kick mics. You can see I got an inside kick. I got an outside kick. I got my little homemade subwoofer thing. I probably have another mic around the front. And the reason I do that, besides it's just what I do, is because I kind of figured that, you can switch back to something else. I kind of figured that since Blackbird has a great staff and they have these massive amount of mixers, I said, why not record them? Like, when else do I get a chance to try out, some Royer overheads compared to, I don't know, Neumann's or just whatever. And then I can go home and listen to them and A/B them. So like on some of these sessions that I do there, I would end up with like 3 sets of overheads, like 3 sets of stereo room mics and all that. And they were just all too happy to do it. They actually kind of liked it. And I would just record it all in and then get home and be able to try it out. This session wasn't quite at that level. I definitely have, 2 sets of overheads, some room mics and all that. The other thing that's cool about this thing that we're about to work on is they have a live echo chamber. And it's actually, in case you guys don't know what a live echo chamber is, it's actually a room that's like very echoey. There's like no carpet or anything in it. Typically, it's like oddly shaped, and everything's really like shiny walls or brick walls or something like that. And you can either put a speaker in there and run a sound in there and mic it, or in the case of this studio, the echo chamber is connected to where we were recording the drums. So what I did is I just cracked the door open and had some mics. It's the echo chamber, there's like not huge. It's like about half the size of this room, but it's tall. It's like 30 feet high or something like that. So there are mics up in the top. So I just left the door open, and the drummer was like, 20, 30 feet away. So I just recorded the sound of the drums coming in there. So we have that. And I love natural live echo chambers because there's no digital reverb in the world that can sound like that. And
there's an interesting video that you made about your
there's actually a video on my YouTube channel about making a live echo chamber. Maybe Crystal can find the link. I don't know if it's on the on my list of videos and stuff like that.
Well, we just posted a link to your YouTube channel, and it's in there, and maybe we can dig around and find that exact link.
So that's just a little background on this song. You can see I've got the standard kick inside microphone. There's a kick front mic, which I think was actually over by the beater. On the other side of the kick drum, where the drummer's kick pedal is at, I've got a kick out, which means there's a kick mic in front of the kick drum. And then I probably had a sub kick somewhere, although I don't see it on here. It might be turned off. I might have hit it. And then I've got something that says Kit SM7, which is probably an SS7 mic somewhere near the drums. I've got a snare drum top mic, a snare drum bottom mic. I've got a distorted overhead, which is a mic I'll put straight up over the snare drum, pointing straight down, and I'll distort it through like a mic pre. I've got the chamber, my stereo chambers. I've got something called snare drum stick, which is a mic that sits right up by the rim of the snare drum in case he takes his stick and he's doing a cross stick thing on it. I've got tom mics, of course, 2 sets of overheads, a hi-hat mic, stereo room mics, a ride microphone, and a whole other mono overhead. And there were probably more, and I probably took them out of the session because it was at a certain point it just gets ridiculous. So
Good luck.
Right.
Oh, and we also had like a legendary lap steel player, Dan Dugmore, I think is his name. Like this was all like stuff done in Nashville. Like all these people were like top level studio musicians. It was crazy being able to do this. So I'm just gonna dig in. This is gonna take me a second to work on. Oh, why do I still have some automation on here? I'll just kind of play a little bit of what I got, and I'm gonna dig in because there's so much stuff in here.
Oh yeah.
This is how you. This is like ninth inning.
Yeah.
You know, like the
closer's
closer's coming
in.
out.
Smoltz.
Yeah. So.
No, dude. Mariano Rivera, we know.
Oh, absolutely.
His was
dude.
Enter Sandman, though, I think.
The thing about like having like a big Nashville song is the drums are gonna define whether it's gonna have that sound or not. You know, you can't like fake. You know.
And they said he recorded this at
Blackbird.
and that do they have like the largest mic collection in the world? Is that kind of like one of their?
It's insane. He's got like 40 U47s or something.
Oh, and I should mention the drummer on here is Scott Meter, who's actually from Atlanta.
What a name!
I think it's kind of funny that his last name is
Atlanta,
Meter.
dude.
Yeah, dude, he just
I know.
Great drummer. All right, I'm gonna solo up some of this stuff.
So the thing about Scott Meters, he was kind of known as a guy that would put like crash cymbals for his hi-hats.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, so much about doing something creatively is it's just about doing
That's
something different.
definitely a mic over on the beater right there. Listen to that. That's not the EQ for that's with no EQ. That's how I recorded it. Sounds like shit, but you'll see how it comes into play later.
That's the point, though. Like it's supposed to sound like shit because the idea is that sound is supposed to be blended in with the other sound. Yeah.
Also, like I always wonder about this with drums. It's like part of what makes a drummer playing on a kit really cool is the nuance of their performance, like ghost notes on the snare. You've got to figure out a way to bring those out as a mixer without it overpowering the kind of like the stripped down beat of like the kick snare cymbal pattern. But you want to bring out all these other elements. So I don't really understand how y'all do that.
That chamber sounded sick.
Yeah.
When he soloed that chamber, I was like, wow.
Bring these drums to my chamber. That's how we used to mix things in Westeros.
Those rooms are definitely compressed. You can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are smacked.
Eating right from her hand, she got you running in her head, and the engine's about to blow. She's pushing too fast if you want to make it late.
Oh yeah.
When she takes control, you just can't say no.
Yeah, I know I'm like the token musician of this stream, but great performance out of the drummer.
I know, dude.
Sometimes that's important.
Dude, it's probably the most important. Like, you can set up all these mics and everything, but like, dude, at the end of the day, you need the guy that's going to play it. And so now what we need to do, and Billy's been known to do this, where he'll filter out the high end from the kick out mic and just use it for its sub resonance and blend it. Like, try to get the best sound you can get from just the kick in mic, and then use the sub to reinforce it. You hear how it's more like, it's kind of like a little 808 now.
Yeah.
And then he's going to use this gate either to tighten up the decay or to trigger it. Well, shit.
I love the names of some of those.
I know, some of those I/O things.
Time to ride that bus.
Get on the bus.
Did you do the bus to school?
Dude, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, riding the bus. What an experience. I don't know if kids get that these days as much.
They still have the bus, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, kids are like, their parents are taking them to school and stuff. You know? Like, they're protected. Their Teslas take them to school. You know?
The only bus I ride is the compression bus. That's where it's at. It's like the mega bus.
Yeah, the mega bus, the compression bus.
It's interesting Billy applying the gate here on the outside kick.
Yeah, he's gonna trigger it. So what's gonna happen is that when the kick in goes, it's gonna trigger the kick out to go, and it will control the attack and release of how much of that sub kick will be allowed to get through. Because the problem is, by itself, it had too much decay. And when you make it kind of subby like that, it can get too much and start absorbing too much space. So by filtering it, making it subby, and then putting a gate that triggers, you can control that low end so that they behave well together.
Ooh,
I mean, it sounds great now. It sounds like a great kick drum.
Yeah. What do we have here?
This is the channel strip, Metric Halo. Mm-hmm. This is such a great plugin,
Yeah,
dude.
it looks cool.
Yeah, I know. And the thing about the gate with the kick out is it's not a hard turn off, turn on. It's just like it needs to just disappear a little bit quicker.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's got more nuance.
It's got more nuance, right?
Yeah, like all this ghost note stuff he's doing on the snare is super cool.
Again, it's the sum of these small little details, the nuances, as you say, that make the magic.
Yeah, you gotta find these little edges when you're working on something.
Right, these little spots.
I agree.
Little microscopic moves sometimes make a huge difference.
Yeah, I like the overhead twos as well. I'm glad he picked those. The TCs are a little bit bright. Yeah, man, it sounds. When it's recorded like that, you're like, yeah, you know.
Ooh. I like that. Now I feel smart. I'm like, oh, drummer perspective.
Yeah, I'm a drummer perspective too.
So that's like you hear the snare more toward as if you were playing it like right here.
Some people will do that. It's more so like how the cymbals are placed.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like hi-hats onto the left, your ride off to the right. Versus like it makes me feel uncomfortable to hear the hi-hat flipped.
So are you drummer's perspective or are you audience perspective left-handed drummer? That's what I want to know. Got him.
Good one.
It could be either one. It could be either one.
This is why you guys have me around.
Right.
You're coming back, right?
And see, what's interesting about having like really good room sounds is you don't really need to rely on reverbs. Mm-hmm. The rooms are your reverbs, you know?
Great point.
Well, that's like when you go see like a symphony orchestra or something. You're like, oh, the reverb on these violins are amazing. It's like, nope.
No, it's the space. The space.
And in some ways, that's why acoustic instruments have holes in them, right? Because that creates the reverb.
Yeah, I think
Kinda.
the holes
Or just-
could be just the resonance.
Yeah, resonance.
Of how it works.
But it's interesting, you're talking about the hall and how that is so imperative to the sound. And look at it. Freaking out with Billy Hume. Real world.
Billy's fun to watch while he mixes.
I know. It's you know what's funny is like I know we're like streaming and live and in front of people and stuff, but like when I was going in and sitting in with Billy, and it would just be him by himself, and he'd be the same way. He'd just like rock out. Like when you're working on a song like this, how can you not?
You have to, because that's the vibe. Like,
I know. If you can't convince yourself, how are you going to convince others?
Yeah.
You know.
Ooh.
Yeah, there might be some frequency that he's hearing that he doesn't like.
And he's just trying to find it.
Find that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so this area, like right around there, like, is always really harsh for our hearing.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in nature that like sits in that area?
Yeah,
that
our
we just,
voices.
Oh, and then we hate our voices.
So like the way our ear is designed,
Yeah.
like the way it's shaped is to pick up that range for like communication. And so like that's a part, it's why human speech is so audible to us.
Yeah.
Because our ears are designed
but it's also
to pick
really
it up.
distracting.
It's also distracting.
Yeah. Y'all should bring an audiologist in here.
To like correct everything.
So, no, it's just like talk about how the human ear mixes.
I
It
know.
works as like kind of.
Because you know what's crazy is like even at the volume that you listen at changes your perspective of what you're hearing.
Yeah, well, there are times Billy's in here working, and you can hardly hear what he's working on.
Right.
Because it's just so low. It's a completely different working experience for him,
Right.
I'm sure.
And but what's crazy is
Like
you're
you said.
experiencing the actual frequency spectrum differently.
Oh,
like
cool.
you're not even hearing the same thing. Like the frequencies change as the amplitude and volume changes. Look at that room, man. Or he wants to crush it even more. Oh, put it back in. It's too good, right?
It does
Like,
sound
I know.
great.
And
This
so
is
he's gonna
distorted overhead.
Yeah. And so what he normally does with these is puts it also on a gate.
Mm-hmm.
So when the snare drum hits, it'll open up.
Yeah, you gotta let that snare breathe.
The distorted overheads.
Yeah.
Mono just, yes. Yeah.
And so here he's
He's going to distort this more. Here we go.
I like that 0.7. That's
it's a good number.
Yeah. It's a soft one.
Yeah, soft one. And so here's the gate.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see he's gonna set up the side chain.
The gates are cool.
Dude, I know they're so
They're
underrated.
so cool. Yeah.
So underrated.
And just what they do is like so impressive, but seems like, of course we need that. We need that. Yeah.
And it's crazy, like in like the digital world, I'm impressed by them, but like the actual box, I'm like, how is it doing this? You know?
It's interesting how he's sending a signal from a snare.
Yes. So when that snare drum hits,
That's
it's going
right.
to open up.
Yes.
Gotta do pre-fader always.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Once we get it dialed in, it's going to be cool, dude.
Yeah. But I long ago I've learned to trust people who are mixing. They're like 10 steps ahead in the process.
Yeah. And it's not going to be loud. But watch this when he mutes it.
Oh.
Now it's still a little bit too loud, but
No, but I like it. It does. It gives it a lot more vibe.
it seems like he turned it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Now to me, that's a big move.
So Luke, what you're hearing there, this is that distorted overhead. You know, at the zone, we would normally like put that mic overhead and distort it through the Ghost console.
Oh yeah.
And since I was at Blackbird, they didn't have it. We actually ran through. There's a Shadow Hills mic pre.
Oh, I love
And it's got a couple. And I was asking him, like, what can we overdrive, because their gear is so good, none of them would give me a crappy enough distortion.
Right.
And they said, oh, we'll try this Shadow Hills one, and there was some setting on there, and I said it. That's what you're hearing there. So it's like a mic, probably a 414, AKG 414, straight over the snare drum, about 10, 11 feet up, or 8 feet up, whatever. I'm just slamming the mic pre, so it's like just redlining the whole time. And I'm adding more distortion now, and so now I'm gating it off the snare drum. So the snare drum, every time the regular snare drum mic hits, that's what's going on. But the cool thing about it, and we've discussed this before, when I bring it in, it literally makes it sound like the snare drum is a thicker snare drum.
Yeah.
Like it goes like, oh, it's an 8-inch snare drum. No, it's a 12-inch snare drum.
Yep.
If you check it out in the mix, check it out. I'll turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's so night and day.
Yeah, it's cool. I never would have thought about it as making it sound like the drum was bigger.
Yes.
Right.
But that is what it sounds
done,
like.
yeah. And yeah, mill 3, that's a side chain
Yes.
from the snare, not to the snare. So the signal's coming from the snare top to the distorted overhead. And once that snare opens up that gate, that distorted overhead turns on. I do this. I stole this from Billy. I absolutely stole
I
that.
stole it.
Because it's a good trick, man. It is a good trick. That dude's killing the banjo. Jesus.
Oh, I know. These guys are so good. I don't even know who's playing on these tracks, but if you're doing sessions at that studio in Nashville, you know how to play, man.
Yeah.
For real.
We had a banjo player in here a couple of months ago for a live recording session. He was great. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Dudes that are sick at banjo are just...
I know, and usually, like, out there, like in Nashville, the banjo guy also plays acoustic guitar really well, and dobro, and like...
Can play everything.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably more banjo in some of the hit songs people have heard that they never knew it was in there.
Oh, yeah, because it fits in there really well
Yeah,
as
it
just
does.
part of, like, the string section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always Deliverance.
Right.
Oh, damn.
Here's another thing, another gate on the rooms. Like, I just love that the gate is having its moment right now.
Yeah,
It
this is it.
The gate deserves its
This is
shine.
it.
It deserves it.
The Golden Gate.
The golden gate.
Golden Gate. Yeah.
It deserves it, man, because it's such a good tool that people overlook because it's not
Yeah.
fancy.
No,
It doesn't look cool.
It doesn't have a cool plug-in
No.
shape.
No.
I think it would be cooler if they made it look like a real gate and you like closed it down.
Nice,
you, like,
yeah.
latched it in.
Or make it like a garage door opener.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the gate's having its moment.
It's having its moment.
And so same thing, man. Like, it's really just to make this snare. You don't need a snare reverb
No.
when you got
no.
all these room mics and that are triggering on the gate. That's great, man.
Yeah, once again, it's one of those things where, like, right from the jump, I was like, oh, it sounds great. It sounds great. And then he does these little things, and I'm like, it sounds way better
You're right.
now.
You're right. And so you obviously always got to check the phase, which is what we're doing right now. So it's in phase.
Would you ever intentionally put something out of phase?
Yeah, sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes the out of phase sound is doing something where it's not completely out of phase, but it
Yeah.
changes the character of the sound in a way that you're like, oh, I'm kind of going for something like that.
Cool, cool. Oh yeah, this is a great drum recording
I know.
because I'm
I can just
hearing
listen to
all
it,
the
man.
nuances. Like, I'm really appreciating what this guy is putting down. Scott Meter.
Yeah, dude's killing it. We got more comments. Can't go wrong with stock plugins. You really can't go wrong with stock plugins, man. Like when I do gates, I use the stock gate. I honestly, I've tried some of the fancier gates.
Yeah.
This one just works, man.
We have a comment about the panned hi-hat.
Yeah, I realize like the hi-hat's like super wide panned, and it feels weird listening to it in solo. You're like, wow, that's like really far out. But in the context of when you put all the drums in,
Right.
it's just kind of...
Mill 3. So there's already a lot of hi-hat in the overheads.
There we go.
So what I'm doing here with a hi-hat, and I'm going to EQ it a little bit more, I try to just get this ting from it, and then I pan it hard left because I like drummer's perspective, and I'm going to end up barely putting it in the mix. And the other thing, I don't know if I'll get to it in the stream, it's more about like in the verses where he's like got the hi-hat closed. Once it gets all swishy, I'll just turn it off or I'll mute that section. But it's more about like when he's doing some fine detail on the hi-hat, and I'll pan it over there, and then, you know, like I said, automate it down when he's like slamming on it. It's too much. But I'll put I'm going to put like some severe compression on it, like almost like a limiter thing on it. And because when I really get into this stuff, and just so you know, like on this project here, on this album, 3 of the songs were mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. And the producer sent it to him, and then they sent him back, and they said, okay, now you mix the rest of the album, match his mixes. And I spent 3 days, I think, just on the drums on the first song.
Oh, Lord.
Because Chris Lord-Alge is like, you can say whatever you want about him as a mixer, whatever. Guy mixes hit records and they sound amazing.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for decades. He was mixing hit records when I was like trying to figure out my 8-track, right? So he's got all sorts of tricks. So I had to invent some things, and but on a song like this, especially country music is incredibly hard to mix because it's got like, if you listen to these, if you could hear this record the way I mixed the drums and soloed up the drums, you'd think it was a heavy metal record. Like modern country, the drums are mixed like heavy metal, but then you got to hear a banjo, and you got to hear a fiddle, and you got to hear guitar, and a lot of the string instruments are very similar frequencies. Yeah. So to try to blend all that stuff together is really freaking hard. So like on this song and on this album, I probably spent a day or two on each song easily, except for the first song. Once I got into it, I figured out some techniques that I'm going to show you a couple things that I'm a little later here that I did to try to match what he was doing. But so I'm kind of ripping through it right now and just showing the highlights. But yeah, the hi-hat, the point I was trying to make is that to some degree, I mix each section of the song almost like it's a separate song. Like I'll go and I'll work on the drums. I typically start at the loudest section, but it wouldn't be unusual for me to have actually different EQ on the kick drum for the verses and the choruses. So like one of the most common things is in the choruses, I'll turn up the clickiness of the kick drum. On the verses, I bring it down. And I might automate it, or I'll just put it on a different track or something like that. I'll change the amount of the room. As you can see, I'm gating the room mic to only come in on the snare drum hits, and I'll send it to the toms too. I'll make sure the toms are triggering them as well. But on the verses, maybe I'll ride down the room mic a little bit. So it's changing throughout the song. There's no kind of set way to do it. But the panning that I'm doing is more for the verses when he's doing the fancy stuff. And Crystal just put up a link to Scott Meter. Is it M-E-D-E-R? I always thought it was like M-E-A-D-E-R, like he was making mead.
Meter.
Yeah.
Like he's the meader. He makes mead. And he drums.
Oh, meter.
Yeah.
Right.
Tim Tempo.
But yeah, he's such a great drummer. Like I after these projects, because these are all big budget projects. We're in Nashville, and there's a lot of money behind it, and we were working in one of the best studios in the world, and the best musicians. And then later on, I tried to call him up about some of my project. I could never get him on the phone, because he is a very in-demand drummer, and I can't pay that kind of money. A meter, 2 E's. There we go.
Yeah, the hi-hat, it's really supposed to, you only really want it, you're using it to just localize.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really hearing it to like hear it as like its own mic, you know?
Yeah, I also think like when you add, because I've been a part of like a lot of these Nashville sessions myself. When you add like the banjo's kind of playing a subdivision that's similar to the hi-hat,
Right.
and those kind of work together. So it doesn't necessarily have to.
Right.
It's like that rhythm. Music's really about rhythm,
Right.
and that rhythm is spread out,
Right.
with the other instruments.
Right.
They're sneaky good at their arrangements down there. They like know how to like really just do these things rhythmically, where every space is kind of filled.
Right.
That's one of Billy's fortes, actually. It's just filling the spaces up.
Yeah. Yeah, like you hear that banjo is
Dude's
almost working
killing
like a
it, dude.
drum.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, banjo
It
is a drum.
Yeah. Which, if you didn't know,
If you didn't know, yeah, that's right. That's why people tune in here. They're like, I want to learn about
learn
the banjo.
something. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just Wikipedia instruments and just read the
Learn about
Wikipedia
it.
page. It's cool.
Yeah.
If you were to make a list of all the unusual instruments that Billy has recorded throughout the years, man, that'd be a long list.
This is what I've been waiting for. This chamber.
Yeah, it feels like when you have a sound like this, its potential is limitless.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of make it do a lot of things. So I wonder what
100%.
he's gonna do right now. You've got an idea?
I don't know if he'll gate this one.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. He's doing the things that, there it is. Same gate. A little bit longer release though. It's interesting. It almost makes it sound like there's like a clap in there. Doesn't it?
Yeah, to me, all the sounds like just work really well
Yeah.
together to making the snare drum just sound.
That's the star.
Yeah.
Like it, as it should be.
Yeah, I was gonna say like snares are tough because you probably hear them as much and consistently as any other instrument in a
Yeah.
mix. You're hearing it on like the 2 and the 4
It's
for
what,
the
it's
whole
what people
song.
clap to. Yeah. It's like,
that's where the snap comes
yeah,
in.
dude.
Ooh,
Dude.
I know.
Man, it's a
Ooh,
cool,
it sounds
it's a cool
great,
riff.
yeah.
I kind of dig the riff.
Guitars are cool, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually a lot going on there.
Yeah. But everything was like working to just be like a section. It wasn't like, here's the thing. It was-
Right.
Yeah.
And so now the drums are gonna get there. Everything's going there now.
Yeah. And what's he about to do to it, you think?
He's gonna duplicate it and do a parallel.
Ah.
Which I stole this as well from Billy. And I do this in all genres of music, like the parallel thing. Yeah, dude, the freaking banjo players.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
I keep bringing it up, and Jesus,
Yeah.
man. The dude's like so in pocket.
Yeah, and like rhythmically, it gives like such a nice boost to that section.
It does.
When we were recording banjo a few months ago, someone in here had never seen a banjo player in real life.
I believe
They've
that.
been in the same room. Well,
I believe
that's-
that.
Right, that's believable, right?
Yeah.
Totally, man.
So he was looking at the banjo. You know, you put the picks on your fingertip, right? The banjo
Freddy
picks.
Krueger.
Yeah.
And he was calling them banjo rings.
He's not wrong.
Banjo rings. So I will forever call them that. But I thought that was pretty funny because it's just something that you're not ever really in the same room with.
Yeah. Unless you're one of those bluegrass freaks.
Yeah, those guys.
Those guys.
Nah.
No, the banjo is tight. And they make that other thing. Is it like a banjitar? Is that what they call it?
A ganjo.
They call it a ganjo? Damn. It's
Yeah.
much cooler than banjitar.
Guitar.
And when you're playing banjo, you got to get that finger roll.
Yeah.
Going.
They call it claw hammer. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's like the song called Made in the USA. These drums have a real responsibility.
They do, bro.
They've got a lot to live up to.
They have the whole country on their shoulders. It's like the snare drum sounds like a sample.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of all, it's just like, that just sounds done.
All right, that's a super fast version of what I would do on this, but now I'm going to jump into something a little... Luke, I don't even know if I ever showed this to you before. This is going to seem a little weird. I didn't even add snare reverb in. I think I had a little snare reverb on here, but God, with the room mic and that chamber mic...
Dude, you don't need it.
Yeah, I think I could probably put something in that just holds out a little bit longer. Oh, you know what? I was going to put the toms... Because I got the toms on this are cut, as you can see. Like I cut out everything in between. So I'm going to put the side chain hit on there, like so when this toms hit, they'll trigger the gates on the room and chamber as well. What are you thinking of the drums so far?
Dude, I'm impressed.
They sound freaking
They sound
awesome.
freaking awesome.
Dude, you know, and I was thinking about it, the A room at Blackbird where I recorded these drums is almost the same exact size as my living room up there. Ben, you went up there, you saw my living room,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I have 16 mic lines run up to that room because I was recording up there, and then my kids got older and became teenagers and started living in that room. But now they all stay in their rooms on their computers, so I'm thinking about cleaning it out and doing drums up there again. But yeah,
Absolutely,
the A room
bro.
is only slightly bigger than my living room. So, you all right?
I just got stung by a wasp.
You got stung by a wasp?
Uh-oh.
It was in my ear, and I was like, what the fuck?
I
And
noticed a
swung at
wasp
it, and it
flying
stung
around in
my
the
thumb.
basement. Fuck, man.
Stung my thumb.
I don't know why wasps come in my basement.
I got
I
stung.
just feel that shit.
Not today, but I remember when I got stung
Oh,
in my
out there.
eye?
Yeah.
Was that there? Well, you were inside?
No, there's literally a wasp in my basement.
Oh.
Oh shit! Somebody
Oh!
kill it! Kill it, Jim! Kill it!
I'm not
Kill the
touching
wa-
it, man.
We're staying in here.
Fucker.
This is excitement.
Oh! Hey!
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Where'd it go?
We need a noise gate for the wasps.
Definitely.
The wasps only come in here. Oh, stomp it.
Oh, man. Oh, my God.
Well, no more wasps.
That-
Stung, but,
Well, I have a weapon here.
There we go,
I'll
boom.
kill the wasp on the next one.
dude, it stung Slade. I hope he's okay.
Is he all right? Yeah.
Well, these are kind of lame wasps out here,
They're
actually.
kind of lame. That wasp didn't pay his deposit.
Hey, thank
Get
God
him
it
outta
wasn't
here.
a yellow jacket. The wasps out here are kind of like, it's a little
Yeah.
sting. But if you get stung by the yellow jackets out here,
Yeah, what happens?
ooh,
Yeah.
now that's
It
like
gets you-
somebody takes a cigarette and jams it into your skin.
Oof.
Oh, man, that reminds
And there was
me.
they make their nest in the ground, and there was one
Oh,
near
those
the house
motherfuckers.
down on the path. I took some gasoline down there and burnt the damn
Good.
thing.
Good for you.
And they kept coming. They're bad. They're mean. They'll fly into the flames. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Those yellow jackets are made in the USA.
They are. Yeah. God.
America.
You You caught me stomping.
Yes, it's awesome. That's going on the greatest hits reel.
I still haven't released any of the footage of us digging that 200-foot trench to the little house because I had to put a water line, and we had the trencher, and you and I were out there with the trencher. I've got footage of that somewhere.
Yes. That was quite a day.
That's a whole other story.
And that did
when your water
happen.
goes out in your other house and the well pump goes out, it's like I could fix the well pump or I could run water from the house. I'm buying 200 feet of PEX piping and I'm digging a damn trench down that hill. I'm running water, city water down. Fuck having a well. Jesus. Oh, yeah, anyway, back to what I was talking about. So the issue I was having, Luke, is like crystal red algae mixes, and they might be putting samples on it. I mean, like people will hear this and think I'm using samples. There's no samples in here. And I typically, unless the drums are terrible, I don't use samples because I got these little techniques, and I'm going to show you a couple of them here. Crystal red algae would have these there's just low end that it's just amazing. I got it close, never could quite get it. But all the drums kind of had this clicky. Maybe he's using some of those ambient or transient designer things, like what's that thing called? The one that everybody likes to use. Anyway, I've tried those before. They're kind of weird. So what I did was this. Now remember, I said I have this mic here on the drums. Is this? That's literally a mic pointed right at the beater.
Right.
So I did something like this, and I'm going to do it real quick here. I did something kind of like, let me solo it up. I went like. All right, so I got that, and then I put a gate on it. And I might have even put a compressor on this thing, man. And then I got a side chain on the kick. So the side chain is going to that bus. On the gate of the kick, I go side chain kick. So this is what's actually going to that gate. The gate is listening to this. And I'm going to EQ out some of the low end. So it's doing this.
Right.
I mean, and sometimes I'll do crazy things like put limiters on, but when you put it in the mix,
Noticeable. Yeah. It's cool that y'all can hear such a small fraction.
Can you hear that
sound.
difference? Oh, let me turn. I got my mic on. You hear that difference, Luke?
Oh, dude, it's night and day.
Yeah, and getting that mic right up by the meter, by the beater, you just get that click. Of course, like it's picking up the snare, so you put a gate on it.
Yeah, it just hypes it up. Oh yeah, like you need it.
I mean, it's a crazy amount of EQ. Look at that shit. I could probably even roll off some more low end. And then sometimes I'll even do like a crazy compressor on it, and I'll just blend it into the mix. And that's one of the things that I did on this song. Then, oh, shoot. And so, and once again, it might be something where I would maybe ride that down in the verses and bring it up for the chorus.
Exactly.
And then, there's the other trick of like, on the downbeat of the chorus, you turn the kick drum up a dB. Maybe the guitars are up a dB a little. Like if you look at the automation on my mixes, especially a live band, there's things, EQs and things moving throughout the whole song. Another neat trick is on that clicky sound, put a reverb, a small reverb. And it's like this weird thing where you get this little
splash.
But it's not coming off the rest of the kick. It's only on that sound.
Right.
And you won't really hear it so much in a big section, but in the verses. And it's just like, man, it's like this clean reverb. I don't know who did that. So Anyway. Now, the other thing I figured out was I could do a similar thing with the snare drum. So what I do is I would go snare drum click. I hadn't done this in a while, but I did it on this, and then I go here and I'll like go.
On the phone speakers, it sounds like a slapback on the kick.
Who knew that watching people EQ things was my ASMR?
I know, right?
So relaxed.
I know. And like this chair.
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of like rocking to like the beat.
Yeah, great rocking chairs in
Yeah,
here.
dude.
Next time we bring lemonade for show.
I'm totally stealing that snare drum trick.
Yeah.
The kick one I knew about. Never did it on a snare drum though.
What does it do to the sound if you had to describe?
It just makes it poke out.
Okay, yeah.
It's almost like when he mutes it, you're like, where did it go?
Yeah.
And now it's back, it's like.
It feels like somebody turned up like the attack of the sound. That's probably the wrong word, but you know.
It kind of is. It is
Yeah.
the attack, yeah. He's trying to emulate like the transient designer thing, you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's the star of the show.
Oh yeah.
Look at Billy.
Just let it go. Let it go. God, it sounds good.
That's the star of the show, Billy.
Oh man.
Whoever's on
Star of the
banjo.
show.
That's Ilya Travinsky or something like that. He's a Russian. Yeah, and
You gotta watch
I
out
met
for
him
those
in
Russian banjos.
He's actually he's fucking been on a bunch of hits. When I met him, he was just starting to come up. He'd already been on hits, and then during the time I was working with him, he blew up. He's actually a Russian guy who moved to Nashville to do this, and he's fucking amazing.
Oh.
Strangely enough, he's not. I think on this one, on a bunch of them, he's actually not playing a banjo. He would come in with a ganjo.
So this is Ganjo?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
okay.
a banjo is going to be a lot twangier.
Mm-hmm.
So he would come in with a ganjo. It's basically like, for people who don't know what a ganjo is, it's like an acoustic guitar, but it's got, instead of the big body, it's got a banjo body. I think it's a little bigger, but the strings are guitar strings. And
cool.
It's often tuned that way. It just gives you a thicker sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy is
The
just...
dude's, he's the star
sounds
for me.
beautiful.
Yeah.
God, he's so amazing,
Yeah.
and I've actually got two microphones on it. I've got a Royer and a KM54, so I probably have the Royer.
Just a KM54.
Yeah, no big deal.
You can't even find those anymore.
Yeah,
Like
well,
it's like the rarity of a KM54.
No, I was at Blackbird. They
I
probably
know.
had like 20 of them.
It's insane.
You
And if
know?
I'm not mistaken, I think KM54s are one of the only mics that use copper capsules.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure.
I think KM54s are the ones I used them on the. I think Echo Mountain has some. A pair.
yeah, great
and I'm
studio.
supposed to be doing a 3-day session at Echo Mountain in January, so I might pull those out.
Who are you working with?
It's a group out of South Carolina called the Hooplas, and my friend Jason Pittman, who did Party Like a Rock Star, found them and signed them and got backing and is producing them.
sick,
So they're tracking for 3 days. I'm filling in the last 3 days because the engineer, he's using the engineer who works with Crystal. What's the name of our favorite scoring guy? Totally spaced out on his name right now, but he works up there at Echo Mountain, but he couldn't do the last 3 days, so I'm going to go and fill in and stay up there at the band house and all that,
That's gonna be
and
fun.
maybe do
Yeah.
some filming.
Yeah.
I love Echo Mountain.
It's a gorgeous studio. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's up in that church and all that. But they got a bunch of vintage stuff as well, and they've got
Sick.
those crazy, like Neumann, like I think they're Neumann compressors or some weird ass
Sick.
looking shit. Chandler has like a copy of them. They're wacky. Oh, Ben Lovett. Yeah, so the engineer works with Ben Lovett, and he couldn't, because Ben Lovett just did the Hellraiser score. And I think he did it up at Echo Mountain because that's
But
where
that was
he works.
fun,
I met
yeah.
Ben Lovett up there years ago. So yeah, I'm going to be up there. But yeah, I think they got a pair of KM54s.
Dude, such a rare mic.
No big
But
deal.
yeah, like that's the banjo on there. But back to the drums, like I'm sure you might be able to hear that click on the snare drum. It's just barely in there, but it just adds this attack and this excitement. Oh, there's the link for the banjo player, Ilya. Oh, Tozinski.
I'm gonna have
I was
to
close.
find this guy.
Yeah,
dude,
that
dude's
guy's
sick.
amazing banjo player, and those guys would just come in and just like do 2 takes
Yeah.
and just be done, and like thank you very much,
It was fun.
Oh my god.
I got to run back 34 to 35, but then I should be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like those little tricks make the drum sound like they're
Yeah.
sampled,
How do you know not to overdo them, though? Is it instinct?
I think so.
Yeah.
They can start to sound weird when you hear like this like ticky thing,
I know, great sounding.
And it's like it's-
organ, too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, what are we working with right here?
Man, Altiverb. So it's a convolution reverb, which means they took a sample of 20th Century Fox scoring stage,
Oh, cool.
and it's like this is the actual sample of that room.
Yeah, they made some good records in there.
They made some good, okay ones.
I feel like that's where John Williams works.
Probably where he slept.
Yeah. That's his house.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And all you north side honeys make your mama proud. And all you southern bells, tear this mother down.
Guitar.
It's like a Timbaland thing, like, here comes the verse.
I love when people say
Yeah.
that. That's like big time Guns N' Roses, too.
I know, right? Guitar. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm kind of exaggerating a couple things here. The only other thing I would have done on this mix, and it's kind of similar to the Clicky thing, but it's in the whole other direction, and that is I like a big thuddy snare drum.
Oh, I know what you're about to do.
Yeah, and for some reason,
boy.
I stole this trick too.
yeah, I don't know why, but it's kind of like I don't just EQing the snare drum alone doesn't really seem to do the job. I don't know why. There's something about doing it like this, so I'll go like kind of carve out this area here And then on the snare drum, actually, I'm going to take this down way a bit here. And I do this. I go... hold on.
Right.
So it's, like this is the normal
Just
snare
blend
drum.
that in.
But I'm going to filter out all that shit. Then I'm going to go for that. It's always like around 180 hertz or something like that. Just like I want to feel it in my chest.
Yeah,
Turn on
yeah.
the speakers here. Turn off my mic. Mike, turn off my mic.
Yeah, whatever he did, that sound makes the drum sound like more physical. That's like the way to... Ooh. I thought there was a dog in here. I was like, where did that come from?
A big difference, right? Crazy, right?
Yeah, it
That shit's crazy.
sounds awesome, man.
When she's rocking it with the band, and when she drops it down, every man around will be eating right from her hand. She got you running in her head, and the engine's about to blow. She's pushing too fast. If you wanna make it last, hit the brakes, baby, take it slow. She takes control. You just can't say no.
How do you know when to walk away from something?
For me personally,
Yeah.
it's when I'm afraid I'm going to ruin what I have.
Got it.
That's when I know I'm not.
Yeah, because what part of what's so cool about what you guys do is you have to make so many decisions.
Right.
And one of the main decisions is, am I making this better? Am I making this work?
Right.
But it's hard to know, man. I don't understand it. You guys have got some spirituality to your thing.
Maybe.
It's one of those things that once I start putting that thick thing in there, like I'll have the drums where I think they sound good, and I put that in there, and as soon as I take away, I say, God, the snare sounds so thin by comparison.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But I think it's something about just being able to dial that one track up and down that I like, as opposed to trying to put it on the original snare.
Doesn't work the same.
Yeah, and I'm also compressing it. I'm hitting it with this smooth compressor over here. Is like on here, like the compressor I got on the regular snare drum, my attack is like 97 milliseconds. Whereas on that thing, I'm using the smooth, which is kind of like a DBX over easy compression. The attack is only like 1 millisecond. Sometimes I'll do less.
Right.
But it gives it this thuddier sound, so it's compressed a little differently. And then I can blend it in. I can just really control how much thickness I've got on the snare drum.
Shit.
So no samples, folks.
Sounds great, dude.
All
Well done, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. That's
I think that, I mean, that's kind of what I would do. I could go, oh, the only other thing is I have this on there, and I'll just show you real well. Now, you know what? I'll save that for another
Save it,
stream.
bro. Save
I'm going
it.
to save that for another stream. I got so many damn tricks. We'll save that for another stream. Damn. Anything? Does anybody else have any other questions? Anybody out there? Or do you guys have
Shit.
anything you want to talk about?
I'm inspired.
Yeah, this was awesome. I guess I asked this question to Luke a second ago, and I wanted to ask you, like, when you're working on something, when do you know, like, how do you know when to walk away?
When the check clears,
Well, I actually walk away a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It actually came from an injury, because I was mixing so much, and I'm so obsessive on what I do that I was sitting in the studio and just working and working for hours, and like just sitting in one position, like right here, and I was having a lot of pains. I thought there was something else wrong with me, and I went to see a neurologist, and he said there's nothing wrong with you. And I went to a therapist. I forget what you call it. Crystal would probably know. Like they kind of check out how you sit at work, like how you're working, like things that are like ergonomic or whatever. And I realized I need to get up. That they suggested I sit differently. I had to switch to a trackball. But part of it was just sitting in one spot. So I now walk away a lot when I'm mixing. I'll do it like every 20 minutes. The trick is to not get caught up. But even if I just walk out of the room, or I walk upstairs, or I go pet the cat, or I'll clean up a little bit, the key for me is walking away a lot. and coming back, and sometimes I'll just walk outside and I can hear like the wind or some cars on the street, or I'll walk up and or I'll do something on my phone and just check something, like a video. It kind of resets your ears. And then I come back and I go, that's what I need to do. Because when you sit there and listen to something over and over and over again, your ears kind of become tuned to it. Like the sound will shape your ears because your ears are adjusting constantly to things going around you. It can fool you into thinking that you're hearing something you're not really hearing.
100%.
So that's my thing, is I walk away a lot. As far as like overall, when do I walk away from a mix? If it's something that's really hard to do and really important and all that, I walk away at the last minute before I send it to mastering. Like, I'll keep tweaking that sucker, and then it's like, oh, it's got to go to mastering tomorrow, so I'm bouncing everything down, and I go, oh, man.
I know that feeling, dude.
Reverb's got to come down 0.5 dB. I don't know. Maybe that... I used to think that shit was ridiculous. Like, well, can anybody hear 0.3 dB of something? Well, it must matter, because the fact that I can actually do that must mean there's a reason why I should do it. If I can,
That's a good way to...
Oh, yeah.
0.1.
0.1, man. Hell yeah. Hey, watch out. There might be a wasp in there. No, seriously. There might be another one. I saw 2 of them in there, so its brother is in there. Waiting for revenge.
It's his brother.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Go in the other room, man. Go in that room. That room's safe. Oh, wait. They're streaming. Go upstairs to the kitchen. Go hang out. What are you trying to do?
He's shy. He's shy.
Just
man.
watch out for the wasp.
Kid's just like, what are you doing?
So, yeah. Kids used to all sorts of weird things around here. Don't get stung. But walking away from the mix, it's like I said, I'll wait till the last. I'm me tweaking it to the last minute. What did somebody once say? No album is ever finished; they're abandoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a certain point you just gotta abandon it. Like, you'll never be happy. I'm never completely happy with this stuff, and I always think my mixes suck when I'm done with them. I'm always just thinking like, God, what a disaster, Oh, it's a fuck, because I'm listening to it. And then I listen a year later and I'm go, damn, who mixed that? Like, who did that? Oh, I guess I did that.
Me.
That's really good. I don't know what I did, So there's no way you can ever be completely satisfied.
Yeah, man.
When do you walk away, Ben?
Oh, I try not to get too attached to anything I ever make. I'm always ready to walk away. I'm ready to walk away before I even start.
Yeah, I'm the total opposite. Luke, how about you?
I answered the question earlier. I'd said, Ben, I walk away when I'm afraid of messing up what I have.
That's... what's funny, Luke? Not all of them, but most of my mixes, they go through this phase. It's like, I'm kind of working it out, and then it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better. And then there's always this point where I actually make it sound worse.
Yep.
There's always this point like, what did I do?
Yep.
And then I'm like, clawing my way back, like, and then I claw my way back, and then I go past it, but there's always this shitty area where I pushed it too far, and I fucked it up. I fuck up all my mixes, and then I got to go back and figure something else out. Yeah. There's always the shitty section. Well, I think we are
we killed it, man.
Damn, dude, we're right on 3 hours. Right? Luke,
Oh,
we pulled it off because
fantastic.
last time we tried to do a 3-hour stream, I think I went 5 hours. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So
this is the right time, dude.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a raid here, and we're going to raid the Conexos. These are a group of people from Argentina, and I've kind of become fans of them. And I think I like them because when I make a comment, they'll say Billy, which makes me think of my relatives, because my relatives are all Puerto Rican, and they say my name that way, and it's kind of like, oh man,
Billy.
Cool. It's like my relatives. So we're going to go raid them, and oh man, my computer's going really slow here. Here we go. So everybody, thanks for watching. We're going to be doing more of these live streams. Luke and Ben, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, bro.
My pleasure.
Absolutely
Thank
awesome. More to come. And oh my God, here they are. We're going to do the raid. Start raid. I think there's a countdown.
I think there is.
Okay, here we go. It's going to happen in a
idea.
second.
I'm like really nervous. Like,
Everybody remember to follow and check out my YouTube channel. Check out everybody else's links. And here we go right now.
So what he did is he like sent all his followers to a new.
Oh, that's
Like,
what
and then it's like he's like, oh, all these
that's
people
what a
just
raid
got
is.
here.
Got it.